Get 'em, Jimmy, where low shack at? The bottle's getting empty up the crack and we stacking chips, all of it's what I want. Plus money winners, that's what I'm on. You can say I'm gone. I prefer elevated pub sports radio. Time to get educated, get produced, leave the juice, letting loose with so much abuse that the bookies wanna call a truce. They getting slaughtered. Can't forget Jeff and low baggers in the chat. That's a lethal weapon 'cause we be pubbing.
What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy Friday, December 1st to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. And it was a lot of good happened yesterday. You know, I want to think about the good and focus on the good, but I lost 3 games in overtime in NHL, and those were major swings. We swept the board in football and basketball, 2-0 in NFL, 2-0 in NBA. We've hit 6 straight in NBA, 2-0 in NCAA basketball. The success that's happening right now, you know, I believe in NBA, and I mean, I could have had a good night in NHL. My best bet, my 2 best bets, Panthers and Blues, you know, -1.5 for the Panthers, -1 for the Blues, cashed. Losing 3 games in overtime hurt. But what has been working here has been letting the experts that come on to our show be the experts. And for me, just kind of studying the market and listening. I've also capped the game, but I don't need to come in with my angles and edges. You know, we're 22-11 in NBA, and that's with some bad beats and no buzzer beating wins. And that's with losing on the money line on dogs when I would have covered on +2s and 3s. We're having a monster start to NBA season. It's listening to you guys in the chat, listening to our experts, studying the market, also having capped the game, and then finding where I fit in. Another thing that's happened since I saw you guys yesterday was statistics here, records keeping. That will be the one thing. The one thing that is, you know, there's no such thing as locks and stuff like that. The one lock on this show is that every single pick by every single person on this show will be tracked. Will be tracked like we always have done. This is the time of year where it's the most difficult. Part of the thing about, you know, really banking on the experts was, for instance, this morning, and last night, of, let's say, the 11 hours that I was working on today's show, I would say 7 of them, 8, actually, it's not true because I was doing my NFL Pub Hub records, so they're already, but was record keeping. And it's painstaking, and it doesn't really help my capping. It doesn't help my capping. It does sort of help in some angles because I get to see what other cappers are doing right and what they're doing wrong. But that is our one promise to you on this show. I will never sell you anything, and we will track and record everything that happens here with complete honesty and transparency. And we'll go from there. Because the whole thing that Pete and I have always talked about is, can you make a living as a sports gambler? And we want to show that it's possible honestly. And that's our whole main objective here. There's no bullshit and no pretend. So for me, I'd like to tell you about how much money I made last night, because I made money, but I can only think about the Flyers tying it up and losing it in overtime, the Hurricanes losing in overtime. Those early overtime losses hurt. Now, maybe the Hurricanes didn't deserve to be in overtime. No, I thought the Flyers certainly did deserve to be in overtime. And then and then the Stars in overtime. And I have so much action going on last night that I have a game on the big screen, but I'm basically just on Bet365's live platform, so I can see it. I'll go from sport to sport to sport, seeing what's going on. And so I saw Calgary tied up at 3, but then I was only watching it on, and then the puck wasn't being dropped. And then they disallowed the goal. I don't know why they disallowed the goal. And I was like, oh my God, now I can cash my under. and possibly the Stars -1, or at least push the -1. And then, of course, the Flames scored again with 2 minutes left and then won in overtime. Now, they deserve to win in overtime, but losing 3 games in overtime, winning 0 games in overtime, that hurts. All right, that's enough. We have a huge card today. I'm so excited about it. I love working on these Friday shows. We have Bobano and LJ from HTown. So for our schedule, we only have 2 games in NHL. Then we're doing 2 Friday night college football games. We're not Bobano's Saturday breakdowns and his Friday breakdowns, but the Saturday break, they're all up on our YouTube page. When we do Bobano's best bet college football videos, it's because he's got 35 videos out. Here, it's just conference championship. So, it's all there. So we're not going to keep hammering those games. But we are going to hammer college basketball. 10 games on the college basketball card for Bobano. Charleston, Liberty, Houston, Xavier, Maryland, Indiana, George Washington, South Carolina, St. John's, West Virginia, Iowa State, DePaul, Wyoming, Portland, Purdue, Northwestern, the big one, UConn, Kansas, and we close with Boise State, St. Mary's. Then we have LJ from H-Town. And because of the one Friday of the Breeders' Cup, and then the other Friday when I wasn't here, there was just Jose and Bobano. This is only his 4th appearance of the regular season on our show for NBA. And, I love working with him. I love watching him work. He caps differently than I do, and he succeeds. He wins. And so I'm excited to have him rolling with us as well. Great to see all of you guys. Thank you for being here. We have no show without your support. So truly thank you for everything that you do when you like and when you share and when you are a member and everything that you can do to give me the opportunity to cap with you guys right now, Wednesday through Friday for the morning show. We'll be Tuesday as soon as we get to the NFL playoffs. But truly, thank you guys. Thank you. Now let's make money. Let's make money. The stakes are high. And I moved my unit size up in both NFL, slightly in NHL. NBA, I haven't, even though I'm 22-11. I'm certainly thinking about it. College basketball has been the same, but the amount of money I have invested in last night's card, Nutflush sent me a message, and I'm like, gonna be a wild night, man. It's like as soon as I get the games down, I'm like, all right, gonna be a wild ride, man. I don't know what the hell's going to happen. And Friday's my out day, and I had a ton of money invested yesterday. And then you have all the games going on, your heart's pounding through your chest. That's why we love it. That's why we love what we do. Shout out to everybody joining us. Stacks play of the day is in. Xavier +8 was 9.5 when he bet it. What a guy, giving out the number here that's available, something that our cappers do. And that makes it so hard for our cappers. When you see these records, know that often they got much better lines. Dave Rogers, this is twice since Dave's been rolling with us where he did not get the sweep, lost the sweep by a hook just because he had to give out a line that was a point worse than what he betted at. Joey Harb in the house, Brian Watson, Ken Wood, Jay Smooth, Fly White. Mike says last Pac-12 game ever. Sad but stoked for the game. There's Dan Kelly in the house. Dan Kelly's watched me cap basketball for a long time. And the one thing I know that I'm doing different this year is keeping it so clean. So clean. Full games, no totals, no player props. Clean. And if that is going to help me succeed, then I'm going to keep doing that shit. Michael Johnson, Sammy Culmer in the house, Eric Jones, Crypto-ish, D. Jenkins, Subhuman Gaucho, Kelly McKinnis, Subhuman Gaucho with the Subhuman Soccer play of the day. Subhuman Soccer play. I was thinking shocker, but you know where my head's at. Not where it should be. The Subhuman Soccer play of the day. I'm going to copy and paste that. Thank you for sharing that with us. Put that under the page of records for today's show. Avon Polo in the house said that overworked amazing last night. Yeah, it worked. Let's just move on from it. If I was sitting here up 15, 20 units in NFL, I would tell you about how good my angles and looks have been. But look, I need a winning week so badly. Every week in NFL is your most important week. But this really is after 2 losing weeks. So I only have 6 bets left, and I'd be happy not adding anything. 2-0. Cash those overs easy. Bankroll Spence says stars made me sick. That hurt. North End said we are running hot. We are. JT Eel, I did not skip Ted's Vegas action. He has had a good week. I still made money last night. Look, it's a what do you want me to tell you? It's a fucking roller coaster ride, man. Sometimes you go down and you scream. Sometimes you're going up, excited about going. I shouldn't say going down. Let's just that was a bad analogy. Michael Johnson in the house. Trap God ready to get to work. Kong's clips. 2 best bets of the day. Denver Nuggets -2.5. Orlando Magic first half -6.5. We copy and paste that here from our guy Kong's clips. Justin McElvey says, yes, we can make a living with sports gambling. Well, that's what we're trying to prove here. We're trying to do it honestly and legitimately. Jay Peasy, Islanders outshot 43-16. Yeah, it's tough, man. Tough. It was a battle last night. The problem was I started out so strong. I was like, how big is this number going to be in the end of the night with the comma? But all right. Great to see all you guys. Cheshire Cat, Von Polo, Dan Kelly, nice 2-1 same game parlay, 8 and under points. Rebounds thanks to Bobano. He said he was on those overs because Cleveland defended the 5 poorly. Interesting. B-Lab, Top Set, Ian Shaber, AOD, Stimmy OG said that over 47 was a beautiful thing. It sure was. Nate Dogg, 420 in the house. Oh, no. Justin McAfee says he was in the car accident last night but wasn't driving. My home driving will come home today from ER. Dislocated shoulder, but I'm straight ready. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, and sorry to hear about your friend, man. I hope you guys both heal up fast, and really sorry to hear that, man. That does not help. Newark in the house. Wine Time Sports. Billy Friedrich, Gifted Cartel, Philly Eagle Flyer, Sharon Pulliam. I did. I did. God, this is the most enjoyable thing I can imagine. Having the opportunity to cap with you guys each and every day. Now let's succeed. Let's go out and succeed. Let's see here very quickly. Okay, my bad. I was blurry for a second. Sorry, I was a little caught up. Let me know if that happens again. 13-1, Dan. I know you did it, man. I know you did it. I wish I could. I probably should have just. I even told you I was going to open up the new book with that $1,000 risk-free bet and just put it on that, but I didn't get around to it. All right, let's get to work. We head to the ice. And our star of Friday shows will be capping NHL with us all season long. College football's almost over, but we have them for another 5 or 6 weeks of it. And then, 6 weeks of it. And then college basketball all season long. And this still is a pretty good Friday college basketball card. There's going to be some Fridays where you have to dig deep in the Metro Atlantic and the MAC and the Ivy League schools. But not tonight. Tonight, we got a lot of action. Please welcome from Canada's Black and Yellow, the star of our hit show, Hitting the Books College Football Show. Please welcome Mr. Ian Cameron to the show. Bobano, how are you, my friend?
That's right. Every conference championship game previewed. So if you haven't watched it, what are you waiting for? What's up, Jimmy?
It's a great show. Sharon Pulliam, we have to take a second here. Says it's got out of hospital again last night. 1-year-old twin boys got COVID-19, 2 and 3 days apart. Damn, Sean. I'm going to copy and paste this. I can't remember if you're on Twitter or not, but I'd sure like to stay in touch with you about this. So sorry to hear, man. Let's get your boys healthy and home, absolutely. Man.
Everybody's sick right now. I was sick the last week. I'm slowly getting out of it, but everybody's getting it.
Well, let's just take a second right now. Send as much positive energy to Sharon and his 1-year-old twin boys. Let's get them out of the hospital, get them home with you. So sorry, Sharon. So everyone take a second, just send as much positive energy over to the Pulliam boys. Let's get them.
Especially in this month of the year. No one wants to be in a hospital around Christmas. Nobody.
Let's get them home. Let's get them home. All right, we roll on into NHL right now. Let's go. NHL, you've had a wild, your season has been very different than before. Your average line right now, Bobano, plus 140 here on the show. Plus 140, going for big scores. The year is very young, and you had a couple, you've done draw bets that haven't cashed at this point, but you know they're going to come.
Yeah.
They're going to come. Let's get to work. 7 p.m. Eastern. San Jose Sharks 5-16-2, 0-10-0 on the road. New Jersey Devils 11-9-1, 5-5-1 at home. Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. We talk about capping together as a team, and we were all on that under in the Boston San Jose yesterday, and reading the message that Slatsy sent to me about that game on the show. I mean, did not just feel perfect, and it cashed so easily, no sweater, felt great. What do we do here? Capo Kakinen, Vitek Vanacek, Kakinen 2.60, 4.12 goals against average, 889 save percentage. Clearly lost that starting role to Blackwood for good reason. Vanacek 8.5 3.49 goals against average, 879 save percentage. He's been absolutely atrocious. San Jose power play 18.2%, penalty killing 73.2%. We got action coming in here from the chat. They are home. Okay. I'm sorry, Sean. I thought they were still in the hospital, but let's. I'm so glad to hear that. Devils 35.6%, power play 75%, penalty killing. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have the Devils, at a ludicrous number. Boston was at this number. It's going to get to 500 too, with all the people putting in parlays and everything. Opens up at minus 469. Now it's at 487, minus 487. And from a total side of things, sorry, moving a little slow here. Got up here. From a total side of things, we are dealing with a 6.5. And the 6.5 is just slightly juiced to the over here at Pinnacle minus 113. It's come down 10 cents. I mean, it's tricky, and we'll hear Bobano talk about it, but, the Sharks don't score and the Devils score, at will. How do you put that together? Both teams are on the second half of a back-to-back, too. So do you expect tired legs? Do you expect a dump and chase cycle, keep it deep and change 30-second shifts, without taking heavy risks? Or do you expect, the legs to be burning and the back check not to be as strong? We'll discuss that as well. Sharks coming in after losing 3-0 Boston last night. The loss snapped a surprise 2-game winning streak. Sad sack. Sharks only have one player in double digits. That's leading scorer Thomas Hertl with 4 goals and 12 assists. Hertl missed that 2-1 victory over the Capitals with an abdomen injury, but he's back. He's fine. He played 22 minutes and 8 seconds last night. He was a -2. He's third worst on the team at -16. Logan Couture, Oscar Lindblom, Philip Zadina, Alexander Barbanov, 4 forwards are all out. Jan Ruda, a defenseman, out as well. Devils coming off their third straight victory, a 4-3 overtime win at Philadelphia. The Devils were outshot 47-35. Luke Hughes scored the overtime winner, assisted by his brother Jack. God, what a special family that is. Dougie Hamilton missed last night's game with an upper body injury. Thomas Nosek and Eric Haula as well are out of the lineup. So is Timo Meyer. Take it away for us here, Bobano. Sharks, Devils.
Yeah, this is I have to rely on San Jose scoring on the road. That's not something that they've done very often. But I'm going to take over 6.5 here. I like that we've got the weaker goalies tonight in all likelihood. Unless David Quinn's going to run back Mackenzie Blackwood, which I guess he could because it's against his old team. But Mackenzie Blackwood started last night against Boston, so I can't imagine that it's going to be him in net. And if it's not him, Kakinen is the much inferior goaltender of the two. I was not sold on that coming into the year. I thought both of these guys weren't very good. But Blackwood's been actually serviceable. Blackwood actually has had a couple of really good starts. I can't say that about Kakinen. Kakinen's been not very good at all. A lot of the games with him in net have trended over the total. A lot of games with him in net, we're seeing the opponent score at least 3 goals, and in a lot of instances 4, 5, 6, 10. Like Vancouver did in one game against him. So it's been awful. New Jersey's got, with Hughes and Hischier back, their offense is settled. You've got your big guns that can score for you, Mercer, Hughes, Hischier. They're still missing Meyer, but they're fine offensively without him. And really this third line that Lindy Ruff's put together with Holtz, McLeod, and there's a third man on that, Lazar. They've been terrific. They've been maybe the best line for New Jersey the last couple of games and getting offense from them. So I think that's tough for San Jose. Tired legs on a back-to-back could hurt them defensively here. They have not scored on the road. A lot of their offense has been at home. You look at their last few road games, they got shut out by Boston. 1 goal scored against Seattle on the road. 1 goal scored against Vancouver on the road. 1 goal scored against Anaheim on the road. Shut out by Vegas on the road. I mean, it's been bad to trust San Jose offensively, but I've got to trust them tonight. I have to, because the Devils will still give up goals. We've seen that. And Vanacek's a hot mess right now. He is terrible. His confidence is shot. He has been bad in the majority of his recent starts. If there's really no excuse for San Jose not to find the back of the net a couple of times tonight, given those two factors. So I'm on over here, over 6.5, minus 118 at Bet Online.
I think we can get that at minus 113. I believe that's a Pinnacle, but I'm going to pull up Pinnacle and just make sure that my site has been refreshing because it hasn't. I've got it right here, so let's just pull this up right now.
Also,
and
6-1 over for Jersey in their last 7 games, so they've been trending that way.
Over 6.5 at -113 for Bobano. That's the lowest number on the board over there at Pinnacle. I'm off of that spot. Let's move on to game 2 here. Ottawa Senators at Columbus Blue Jackets. Senators 8-9-0, 2-2-0 on the road. Columbus Blue Jackets 7-13-4, 5-7-1 at home. Nationwide Arena in Columbus, Ohio. Jonas Korpisalo going up against Elvis Merzlikins is what is listed. Let's get into the line history here for this one. There's been a huge move towards the Ottawa Senators, a huge move. Right now, the Senators have gone from -141 to -157 at Pinnacle, but that doesn't tell the whole story. At Bet Online, they've gone from -125 to -152, so it's not quite as high, but it's it opened at -125 Bet Online. So there's been this huge move towards the Senators, and we'll discuss why that is here. The total right now over 6.5 is heavily juiced, -125 to the over. Now it was -133, so it has come 5 cents to the under. And Korpisalo is been a little better of late, but 3.34 goals against average, 902 save percentage hasn't been very good. You can say the same thing about Merzlikins. He's been a little better of late, a little better of late. Sorry, AOD. Oh, cool. Yeah, DC Capper, beautiful. This is the spot. We work together, and it just takes time, and you'll find your way. Look at Nutflush Allen, what he does with NHL now. And it's like, he's got hockey on his TV all day. Like his kids tell me about it all the time, so
it's great. I love it.
You'll really fall in love with it, but you need to succeed. Ottawa power play 18.9%, penalty killing 74.6%. Columbus a power play 11%, but they're penalty killing 89.2%. And I'm loving the coach, Gabriel Vincent, more and more and more every time I see him on the bench, every time I hear him talk. The more I learn about him, I didn't know that much about him. And I really, really like them. So this is about how you cap sports. Do you cap it from a psychological standpoint? Do you use models? Do you mix the two? This is all going to come into play in this hockey game. You have a team that is 8-9, but just has only played 4 road games as a huge favorite against the Blue Jackets team that I believe is bet on 5-7-1. The Senators are a well-rested group. So first off, we all know this angle. They've been off since Monday night when they lost their second straight game 5-0 at home to the Panthers. They looked awful. They're outshot 37-20 and lost. Then they're getting back Thomas Chabot from injury. He was placed on the LITR on October 26th with a fractured hand. He's their star defenseman alongside Chikrin. He was playing 24 minutes, 19 seconds a game before he got hurt. Then we have the Sens' new owner, Mike Andlauer, of course, firing Brad Dorian, 3 weeks ago, a month ago. So Steve Stais, a guy I really like, journeyman hockey player, played for the Knuckleheads for a while, is the president of hockey operations and the interim GM. He's searching for the new GM. And then the big question is Coach DJ Smith on the hot seat? I mean, we all think he's on the hot seat. If they lose here 6-0, he gets fired. That's the expectation. He gets fired. Ridley Gregg is close to returning from injury. Tim Stützle has been excellent. 5 goals, 17 assists, 22 points. Tarasenko, 0 goals on the power play, 3 goals in 17 games this year. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what they were expecting. From a point per game standpoint, he's been okay, but you need him to score on the power play. Dominik Kubalik is a problem. That's why he's been passed around. 4 goals and 1 assist. He's not as good as his skill set lets you believe. He is a team worst -8, and he's going to be a problem this year. Jackets come in off a 4-2 loss at home to the Canadiens. They had a ton of great scoring chances. They were snake bit. It was so hard to watch. Chinnikov was dangerous every time he was on the ice. This young group of Russians are so good. Marchenko, Voronkov, Chinnikov. I like this team so much. Werenski and Provorov look very good on the point. The problem is Johnny Hockey and Patrick Laine. Now, Laine did score. He didn't back check. He was such a pain. He was horrible to watch, even though he scored. And Alexander Tessier, he's never been the sniper I thought he would. I don't know why he went and played in the Swiss League last year. That has not helped his development. All that being said, if there was 10 games on this schedule, Bobano, I would let this go. But I want to back the Columbus Blue Jackets. I think they're bet on. I don't like going up against these giant market moves. I want to here, but I don't know if I can. I want to so badly. And I just watched it kept climbing and climbing and climbing. It's only climbed Take it away. And Cheshire says Marchenko has turned out to be great. Chinnikov, anytime goal for Deshaun G. There's our guy, Nut Flush Allen says, morning, boys and girls. I was helping with my boy Mike from Old Town Bakery at the Harvest Festival at Pomona Fairplex. If you're in the area, stop in. And he will hook you up. Nut Flush on 6-0 yesterday. He said doesn't want this heater to stop. Take it away for us, Bobano. This final game on the NHL slate, Ottawa Columbus.
Yeah, the overall package for Ottawa is not one I can get behind as a -155 road favorite. Just can't. Especially when you see them the last two games. Now, Shabbat will help. Obviously, they missed him dearly, but the quality of chances they're giving up, the number of penalties they're taking as well is alarming. I mean, they're in the box at least 4 times, it seems, every game lately. That's just not good. You can't be giving teams all these power play opportunities. Now, Columbus isn't one of the better power play teams. Their power play has struggled, but just overall, you don't want to be in the box that often, but they're not playing well enough to be trusted. And I know they get Shabbat back, which is enormous. They've actually lately, I think, been a little bit better on the road than they've been at home, although they've only played 4 actual road games this year, Ottawa, believe it or not, 2-2. It's been a very home-heavy schedule for them. They haven't been on the road a ton, 2-2 on the road. Columbus has played better lately. There's no doubt. It started with that game that snapped the skid, blowout of Chicago. They beat a good New Jersey team. They probably should have beat Carolina on the road. Let's not forget that. They had a lead 2-0, and Carolina came back with 3 unanswered, beat the Bruins 5-2 very impressively. I guess kind of a predictable, letdown spot for a team like Columbus after you beat a team like Boston playing Montreal the other night. It wasn't one of their better games, but they have played better hockey. I've noticed this. The Russians are leading the way for them. It's certainly not Gaudreau and Laine, that's for sure. It's Voronkov, it's Chinnikov, it's Marchenko, and it's a little bit of Fantilli. I think he continues to play pretty well for the Jets. Boone Jenner's played solid as well. So those are the guys that are getting it done right now for Columbus. I'm kind of leaning Columbus as well here. I mean, just based on this price. I mean, I can't get behind and endorse Ottawa in their current form, even with Shabbat returning at this number. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and make it official, actually, with Columbus here. You're right. I'm kind of on the fence with just 2 games on the board, but, we're going to try to be a little aggressive on a day like this. Columbus +140 at Pinnacle. I'll lock that in here in this game. With the Blue Jackets. I'm actually going to add 2 bets here. I do like this over here, over 6.5, -125. And at FanDuel, it's just too great to ignore how many close games have been played between the Senators and the Blue Jackets over the years, including 4 of the last 7 meetings haven't gone past a regulation between these 2 teams. So, it's been hit or miss with the draws, but 4 of the last 8 between these 2 teams have gone past regulation time. So at a +380 price at FanDuel, we're going to go draw here.
Draw at +380. And that continues with Bobano's average line here in NHL at +140. What's your average line overall this year? Is it lower?
Well, because I've had a lot of draw bets, it's closer to +1, I would say 60 overall on the year. Yeah.
Okay.
But the draw bets have influenced that. Take away the draw bets, my average line is like everyone else, like probably -110 or even money.
Lucas, I love hearing that, man. It was a fun evening.
Hey, the draws were good for me last night. Isles Canes draw, Stars Flames draw. How about Avalanche Coyotes draw at +390 last night? So, it was a good night with those.
Bunch last year, as well. Locked in for now. I want the Blue Jackets too. Sunny Spring saying, listen to that gut feeling. Jimmy says he feels everything you say about Columbus. Win or lose, you got the right side. I just do want to go up against these market moves, and in other sports I would not. There'd just be no doubt about it. But here, I do believe that because of that 9-game losing streak, that Columbus is just not. It's just the market's just not right with it. They're better than the market sees them. So I think that I will join you. I think I will join you. It looks like I'm not going to have, that. Well, we'll see what happens with college basketball and NBA. Okay, that is NHL. So Bobano firing shots. He's on the over 6.5 in San Jose, New Jersey. He is on the Blue Jackets +140, the over 6.5, and the draw. And I think I probably pulled the trigger on the Blue Jackets. All right, and Nutflush Allen saying, what is the team total over here for these Blue Jackets right now? The team total is
it's 3.5 plus money for sure. Or no, 2.5. Actually,
2.5 was minus 158.
But it's a big juice. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you can get plus 141 on that money line. I'm on their site right now. So let's give you that added cent there. Okay, let's move on to the next spot on the board, and that's college football. We head into college football. I've not followed up last year's success in college football. It's disappointing here for me, and there's still time, and we've gotten very, very hot in bowl season. So let's hope that happens. We start at 7 p.m. Eastern. We have the Conference USA Championship, the New Mexico State Aggies at the Liberty Flames, Williams Stadium in Lynchburg, Virginia, 48 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 4 miles per hour. On Wednesday, we were given New Mexico State plus 11 by both Big Ragu and DJ Big Boss. Let's take a look at the situation now. That was plus 11 at minus 107. And now it's moved to plus 10.5 at minus 107 at Pinnacle. We know that this opened up at Pinnacle at 11, so we have a half-point move to New Mexico State. I've not moved on this yet. The only spot I've moved on right now is just App State, and I'm very interested in Alabama. From a total standpoint, we're sitting at a 57. This opened up at 53.5. When we get to the cash flow here for this one, move over here to college football. From a cash flow perspective, we have 62% of the tickets and 75% of the cash on New Mexico. So it is a public road dog, but at least there's a half-point move towards them. Then 85% of tickets, 90% cash on the over, and that's moved up 3.5 points. Here we go. We've heard from Ragu and DJ Big Boss. Let's hear from Bobano. Conference USA Championship, New Mexico State Aggies, Liberty Flames.
Make it 3 that like New Mexico State in this game, and that's that's getting scary because look, Liberty is an excellent football team, and I love Jamie Chadwell as a coach. I mean, all you have to do is look at how Coastal Carolina completely fell off the grid this year without Jamie Chadwell. Tim Beck ruined that team as far as I'm concerned, especially offensively. So I like him as a coach a lot. Caden Salter is a really good dual threat quarterback. Great run game, and that's really going to be a challenge for New Mexico State here in this game. And they're an explosive offense. They are a big play offense, and that's going to be a test for New Mexico State. But New Mexico State has been undervalued from day one. They've been one of the best point spread teams in college football this year. They have a dual threat quarterback of their own in Diego Pavia. They've got a good offensive line, very good offensive line, good run game. They've got enough in the passing game as well. I think their receivers were their weak link early in the year. I think they've gotten better as the years progressed. And to be honest with you, for as much as Liberty has been awesome and they've been ripping apart teams and blowing out teams left and right, they have not faced anyone really, really good in quite some time. In fact, it's been sisters of the poor for Liberty down the stretch. You know, they're a quality team. They're a good 12-0 team. But look at these teams they've played, at least for that their defense has played. You know, UTEP and UMass and Old Dominion and Louisiana Tech and a down Western Kentucky team and a Middle Tennessee team that was mediocre, just fired their coach. Nobody really of quality. Florida International, you know, Sam Houston State. It's just been a weak schedule really for them. At least with New Mexico State, when you look at what they had to face this year, they just faced Auburn, a SEC team on the road, and went in there and not just won, but they dominated Auburn on the road in that game, in my opinion. So, you know, you look at New Mexico State, this is a team that from the start of the season until now, they've just gotten much, much better. 10-3 straight up, 10-2-1 against the spread. Now, these teams faced back in September, and yes, Liberty got the better of it, 33-17, won and covered. Certainly Liberty's capable of winning and covering in this game, but I'll argue that Liberty has fattened up on weak opponents down the stretch, whereas New Mexico has gotten better since they faced Liberty on September the 9th. Not to mention, I think when you look at it too, I like that intangible element where you've got New Mexico State losing the regular season meeting between these two teams and now playing them here in the first matchup. So I like New Mexico State here in this one, plus the number. I'm not abandoning ship on a team that's just been cashing tickets for me left and right all season long, even against what could be a very potent offense. I'm on that. Plus 11 is out there still, minus 110 at Betano. So plus 11, minus 110 at Betano. And I am on over as well in this game. Now, unfortunately, with the over, I'm not alone on that. We've seen a lot of money coming in on this total. all the way up to 57.5. So we're not getting the best number right now, but we'll still take it at 56.5 minus 115 at Bet Rivers.
Over 56.5 minus 115 over at Bet Rivers. So Bobano, Ragu, DJ Big Boss, all on New Mexico State. And a big shout out to Thomas Whitford, the tight end on New Mexico State, the cousin, the nephew of our
That's right.
Of our nasty Nate. We'll be cheering for you and your fam, Nate. And Nate's got a couple of his kids at the game. We'll be cheering for you guys, man. So shout out to Thomas Whitford and the Aggies. All of our experts are backing them here. And we roll on. We roll on to 8 p.m. Eastern. This is the big game of the night. The Pac-12 Championship. Oregon 11-1, 8-1 in the Pac-12. At number 3, Washington 12-0, 9-0 in the Pac-12. We're at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. And on Wednesday, DJ Big Boss gave us the first half over 33. That was the only spot we were given in that one. That's the only one. That's it. Just the first half over 33. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We have a 9.5 here at Pinnacle. This opened up at 9 and it immediately went to 10 when it was opened up. This was opened up on Sunday at 10:09 this morning at Pinnacle. It went to 10 an hour later, then back to 9.5, then down to 9, then up to 10, and the same thing again. Down to 9, 9.5, 10. Now it's sitting at 9.5 right now. So we have a half point move towards the Ducks. From a total side of things, we have a 66. The 66 juice to the under. Opened up at 67 and has dropped the point to 66. And that under 66 is juiced as well. We go to the cash flow for this one. On that total, 60% of tickets and 85% of cash on the under. And on the spread, we have a pretty 50-50 situation here. 49% of tickets on Oregon and 57% of cash on Oregon. You have to think, and we've discussed this game, here on Wednesday, but the line is really telling here. I mean, it couldn't be more telling. They're saying, please, anybody wants to bet Washington, we're giving you this big, juicy number because the books think Oregon's going to smash and grab and get into the college football playoffs with Bo Nix at quarterback. What do you think here, Bobano? Pac-12 championship. Take it away.
Yeah, early in the week, I said I'm not stepping in front of Oregon, but I don't know if I'm betting Oregon because this number came higher than I thought. And because I have this around 6.5, 7. I don't have it as high as 10. But the number is starting to trickle down, and it does have that feel. And I remember there was a Pac-12 championship game recently where the team that won in the regular season meeting got absolutely obliterated in the title game. And I'm not saying that's going to happen here tonight, but I could only look at Oregon. I think now that it's dropping though a little bit, like I'm seeing 8.5 at Bet 99 right now. So I will lock that one in, Jimmy, at minus 8.5. It's dropped just enough. Minus 8.5, minus 110 at Bet 99 for Oregon. I just feel Oregon is peaking right now, and I think Washington might have peaked about a month or two ago because this Washington team, the defense has been subpar, and even the offense with Michael Penix Jr. hasn't been great. Hasn't been great for them at all as of late. They've stalled. He's been uncharacteristically off on a few of his throws lately. There's some whispering about whether he's 100% healthy right now, and there might be some truth to that. Might be dealing with an undisclosed injury that no one has really said too much about. And now you're facing an Oregon defense that I think is also playing some of their best football right now of the season. And they've been getting better and better. What they did to Oregon State last week was very impressive. Oregon State's a capable enough offensive team with DJU and Martinez at running back and, solid receiver, good offensive line. That's the thing. Oregon State's got a very good offensive line, and Oregon just dominated, blew up the line of scrimmage in the Civil War last week when they played that Oregon State team. So, and that's another thing that has kind of declined a little bit in Washington late in the season. Their line play, especially O-line, hasn't been as good. There's been a lot more pressure, quarterback pressure, a lot more hurries lately on Michael Penix Jr. So when it's all said and done, I do like Oregon here. I'll lay the -8.5. I'm also going to add a player prop, and this is actually a Washington touchdown prop, just because I thought this line was ridiculously cheap. Rome Odunze at FanDuel is only -138 to score a touchdown. You got the likes of Bucky Irving and some other players in this game that are lined closer to like -200 or -300 to score a touchdown. I definitely think Rome Odunze should be closer to at least closer to -200, at least -150 he should be at the very least. And you can get him at -138. He is the guy. He is the dog of this receiving core, the leader of this receiving core. Penix looks for him often, all the time, and his numbers have been excellent here down the stretch. Odunze has 2 touchdown receptions in each of the last 3 games. He had 2 against Utah, 2 against Oregon State, 2 in the Apple Cup last week against Washington State. So while I like Oregon in the game, this is a price play for me. Odunze shouldn't be this cheap as far as his touchdown prop is concerned. So Rome Odunze for Washington, touchdown, -138.
Odunze, sorry, TD, anytime touchdown. Is that +138?
-138.
-138 for Odunze. 13 touchdowns on the season in a game with a total of 66, and they're getting under -140 on it. I get it.
What's up with that? Are we falling for something here or what? I mean, but to me, that's just, and he's got two touchdowns in each of the last 3 games.
Wine Time says Oregon +500 to win the national title. He stepped on it. That's how the Pac-12 ends? I find that so hard to believe. I find that, like, I don't mean to laugh, but I've watched the Pac-12 just get destroyed every time it comes college football playoff time, and that would be absolutely wild. That'd be a perfect ending to the conference. Wine Time at +500 there. I like it. Wine Time says this line is high for a reason. Public will come in all day today on Washington. DC Capper on Oregon and the over. Nunya on the Ducks. So at this point, though, in Wine Time saying he's big on the Oregon 9 and the under 66, says Oregon looks like they have the best offense in the nation. It's not even close. Defense lights out, and I think they make adjustments from last game. What do you think about this total, Bobano?
It's a tough total. It's a really, really tough total. Every time these teams play, it's an over. Look at earlier this season, it went over. Look at last year, it went over with these 2 teams. Into the 70s, both games, Oregon and Washington. But here's the thing about betting the over tonight. Washington's not an over team right now. The offense has been middling. The offense has been muddling. The offense hasn't been that explosive, big play offense earlier in the season. And Oregon's defense has gotten better to the point where you look at Oregon's games down the stretch. They've started to see a couple of their games stay under the total. That wasn't even close to going over last week in the Civil War with Oregon and Oregon State. Same thing with the Apple Cup. All of those games, big time unders. And the reason for that is because Washington's defense is probably a little better than people think. Oregon's defense is playing their best football right now. And Washington's offense hasn't been the same here the last few weeks compared to earlier in the season. So that's why it's a tough total. Current form says bet under. Series history says bet over. That's why I don't have a strong feel for it.
And our guy Nutflush asking about the team total here for Oregon. It's -9.5, -103 right now for Oregon, and their team total is 38.5 juice to the under. 38.5 juice to the under. Nunya says Oregon first half money line locked and loaded, and we heard from Troy also on Oregon first half. So Bobano on Oregon -8.5, -110, and Odunze anytime touchdown -138. And we heard from DJ Big Boss on the first half over. And remember, DJ Big Boss liked the first half over, full game under. Now, he wasn't going to make that. He just likes the first half, but he thinks it will slow down in the second half. So keep that in
I've
mind.
seen that before in this game as well. Yep, slow second halves in a blowout. I think Utah had one of those games where they blew out somebody and second half scoring just died.
There you go. That is our college football. We roll into college basketball. And what a performance by our experts yesterday. Cabby went 2-0. And then Dave Rogers didn't miss sweeping the board by a half point because of getting that Louisiana Samford total at 153.5 here on the show when he'd bet at 152.5. I tailed 2 spots. I tailed Butler and Oregon State. And the Butler game was really fun. And then the Oregon State was also fun because you just got to sit back and put your arms up and get that cash. Let's move on to college basketball here. And we have 10 games that we picked out for today's show. So let me just set this all up here on this one. And let's attack. Again, shout out to Dabby Cab. He's off to an incredible start here on the show. And it's exciting, man. And also, Pubba Palooza. Don't forget, Pubba Palooza will be for round 1 of the NCAA tournament. Can you believe that? That we will all be together. So definitely get in Thursday night because we'll all be at the bar. Or get in Wednesday night, man. Maybe we should get in Wednesday night to make sure that we're ready to rock on Thursday. But we will be at the bar for the round of 64. I mean,
it's like a sports book. I mean, I was there a couple of years ago for the first one, and that's like a little sports book they've got. Jeff's got going at Southtown 101 there with all the TVs and all that. So that'll be fun.
We need you there. Bobano. You were still so much fun, even though we all got COVID in year 1.
Oh, that was great. That's what made it. That made it even more fun. Was that everyone got to look at me and my sick coughing face for most of that few days. Yeah.
Oh man, that's so funny. You handled it so well. All right, let's get to work. Oh shoot, that's the wrong one. Let's get to work here in college basketball, and let's roll here. Here we go. Okay, let's pull this up here, and all right, we roll with the Field of 68 tip-off in Boca Raton, Florida. Charleston Cougars 3-3 versus the Liberty Flames. Liberty Flames 6-1 right now to start the year. Liberty right now is 4-point favorites. Let's see what Pinnacle has them -4 as well. That's juiced to Charleston at +4. But this opened up at -7 this morning at 8 a.m. So we've had a 3-point move to Charleston, a huge move to Charleston in 3 hours and 48 minutes. From a total side of things, it's sitting at 145, a juice to the under. It opened up at 146. So we have a move to the under, and we have a move to Charleston. And only 46% of the tickets and 33% of cash is on Charleston. So those of you who got in on Charleston early can feel very good about themselves. This total 64% of tickets and 89% cash on the under. Charleston didn't get off to a very strong start, but they've won 2 in a row, beat Coastal Carolina by 8, and then just played on Sunday, beating Kent State 84-78. Those were both road games. And Liberty coming off their first loss of the year, and it was ugly. Now, it was against a very tough Florida Atlantic squad, but this was part of this Field of 68 tip-off, and this was last night. So Liberty's on the second half of a back-to-back after getting crushed. This is generally a spot that you would want to back a team. But is this 3-point move an overreaction to what happened last night? Take it away, Bobano. Charleston, Liberty.
It very well could. It's obviously the first thing that stands out. Is this a back-to-back spot for a Liberty team that had their game last night circled against Florida Atlantic? You know, they wanted to show themselves well in that game. And obviously it fell apart for them. It wasn't very good. I definitely agree with the move, Jimmy. I do. I mean, I think it's a tough spot here for Liberty in this game. A Liberty team that, look, I thought, to me, Liberty's a weird bunch. They didn't have as good a year last year. And yes, they're the better defensive team, but this is their second game in 2 days. It's a completely different style of opponent because Florida Atlantic's an inside-outside offense that's got a little half court in them. Charleston's just going to push pace, and I think it's a bad matchup considering the spot for Liberty. A team that's going to push pace against you, and Pat Kelsey's bunch, this is the way he coached at Winthrop. He's coaching this way now here at Charleston. That's not what you want, okay? You're going to be worn out, and I think if I'm Charleston, I really am pushing this pace as much as I possibly can here in this game. They're still not a great offensive team at times, Liberty. If they get into the half court, certainly their defense is still the strength of this basketball team. But I think when I look at it, this is a matchup that, especially given the fact it's their second straight day playing a game, it's not going to benefit them all that much. I hate that we're getting a bad number because I got such a much better number than what we're seeing right now. But I'm going to go ahead with it anyway at the best number we can find, which is a +4.5, -110 at FanDuel with Charleston.
4.5 minus 110. I find this wildly interesting. So you're basing the market move really to it's a bad matchup for Liberty, not an overreaction to what happened last night?
No, it's I think a little bit people say, hey, he didn't play well at all. Now, Florida Atlantic's excellent, so you can't penalize Liberty too much, for losing that game. I mean, that's a team that went to the Final Four last year that brought everybody back this year for that Florida Atlantic team that feels they can get back to the tournament and get back to a Final Four this year. So it's a hell of a team they lost to. But the fact remains, that's a game of importance, a game of that you like I say, you circle on the schedule. Now you're playing on a back-to-back. You're playing a team that plays full court press. It's going to push pace. That's not what you want for a team that extended themselves in a big matchup yesterday. Wearing a worn-down Liberty team is definitely what I fear in this game. In fact, you could say if Liberty happens to hang for a half in this game, let's say they're close or have the lead at halftime, probably a live bet on Charleston might be a good thing because I could see them in the second half really starting to lose contact based on the spot.
There you go. Bobano is in. Charleston plus 4.5 at minus 110. Kelly McKinnon says Dabby called Florida Atlantic in that one. He did. He sure did. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. 6:30 p.m. We have the Big East Big 12 battle. Number 6 Houston Cougars at Xavier Musketeers, Cintas Center in Cincinnati, Ohio. And we've heard already from Justin McElvey, the Stacks play today is Xavier. Now he got plus 9.5. It's available right now at plus 8. I just want to say something very quickly about Pubapalooza for those of you thinking about it. Remember, hotels are really expensive there now. They weren't, a couple years ago, but now they're really expensive. So get the Airbnb by the Southtown. And also, there's other options like Jeff Slaughters makes it such an incredible event. He got us a spot last year. So we got a spot. So I got Sonny in there. I got LJ in there. So there's also going to be house like situations where you won't even need to pay possibly if we can hook it up. Get a place, like if I've got a place and there's an extra room, someone can crash with us. So we can figure out how to make it, how to save all your money for your bankroll. Okay, let's roll here in this one. We have line history-wise in Houston, Xavier first. We'll start with the total. It's at 139.5. Opened at 138.5. We've gone up a point. Then on the spread situation here, for Houston Xavier, we have Xavier right now at plus 8.5 at Pinnacle. Looks like 8.5 sort of across the board. Now this opened up at 7.5 and it climbed up to 10 and then it dropped 8.5. So we have U-shaped movement, a pretty interesting U-shaped movement. Let's go over to the cash flow and see how they're handling it here. They have 63% of the tickets and 83% cash on the under. Let's drop a point. And it's a very even ticket count. 51% of tickets and 55% cash on Xavier. Houston, undefeated to start the year, look extremely strong. The Utah was the one game that was within 10 points. They only beat them by 10 points. These other games are just smash and grabbing opponents. But this will be a good test for them. And then Xavier coming off that surprise loss to Oakland, the one that you had. You were on Oakland. Bobano, great call there. Yep. So take it away for us here. And there is a rest advantage with Houston as well. But now we have a second team. We just talked about Liberty being embarrassed last night. And we have a second team in Xavier coming off being embarrassed. And those are usually spots that I would like to back the team. Take it away for us here, Bobano, Cougars, Musketeers.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of betting against Houston. And I'm not going to, but it feels like this could be a spot Xavier hangs around. I just got that gut feel, in my opinion. They lost by 12 at Purdue. I still think Houston's a little better than Purdue, but that was at Purdue. Now you get Houston at home, and the Cintas Center can be a tough place. That's been a pretty strong home court over the years. It's strong all the way back to when Sean Miller coached here for the first time at Xavier many, many years ago. It's always been a tough home court. In my opinion. So I respect that enough with Xavier coming off a loss. And there's a circled game for them. Houston is definitely the better team. I'm just not comfortable laying 8.5 in this spot. I like the over in this spot, actually. That is the game, what I'm going to make official here. Houston, we know, is great defensively, can be elite defensively, and they're not going to push pace. Xavier will. But I think Xavier can speed up Houston a little bit. here in this game. There are some instances where you see Houston, when they play a team that plays with some pace, plays with some tempo, they could speed them up a little bit. Wouldn't shock me to see that. Xavier's gone over in 3 of their last 4 line games. Entering this one, you saw them get Purdue into the 150s, which is not an easy thing to do. So I think with this number being where it is, you could probably say this number is maybe slightly higher for a Houston game, but this number is definitely lower than it often is for a Xavier game. And I think it's a little bit too low. So I'm going to take advantage of it here. So over 138.5, minus 110 for Houston Xavier at BetMGM.
All right, Bobano is locked in over 138.5, minus 110. I would like to back Xavier here, but they lost badly to Purdue. I mean, is the fact, they lost at home to Washington.
They're still pretty miserable defensively. And that was their issue last year. They outscored their problems. But eventually when they got into the NCAA tournament, that defense came back to bite them. They're still they don't guard consistently for 40 minutes, this team. Houston does. And, maybe that shows up tonight. But I just don't want to lay this many points on the road. And it is the first. It's not. Is it I don't think it's the first road game. No, it's not. They've been on the road a couple of times at Towson and at. Although those might have been. Although be careful.
Not real road game. This is the first real road game.
Yeah, exactly. Those were neutral court games. So be careful with I see the @ symbol, and right away I think road game. But you're right. Those 2 that it says at Utah, and no, those were neutral court games. So this is the first true road environment. Yes, for Houston.
Well, I'm going to DC Capper on Xavier plus 8.5. I'm going to see how much. If I don't have any action or very little action, I'm going to take Xavier. I'm going to bet Xavier. But at this point, I'm just going to put a question mark beside it. Bobano on the over 138.5, minus 110. Let's move on. Next up, 7 p.m. Eastern, we have the Maryland Terrapins, the Terps, 4-3, 0-0 in Big Ten action. Have their Big Ten season debut at Indiana Hoosiers, 5-1, 0-0 in the Big Ten. We're in Bloomington for this one. Let's get into the line history here. We have Indiana -3 and -104. They opened up at -2.5. They got up to 3.5. There has been a little bit of buyback. They're at -3 and -104. From a total side of things here, we have it sitting at 137.5. This opened up at 137, so it's been around there, but it actually dropped to 135.5 this morning. There was a drop, but a pretty immediate buyback. Still a half-point move towards the over. When we take a look at the cash flow for this one, we have 75% of the tickets, 71% of the cash on Indiana. A line moving marginally towards them. And then from a total side of things, 82% of tickets and 98% of cash on the under. We saw a drop a 1.5 and then come right back up. So interesting situation here. Take it away for us here. Big Ten action, Bobano, Terps, Hoosiers.
Yeah, to me, these are 2 inconsistent teams, and 2 teams that, from a point spread standpoint, haven't been really good. Combined 3-10 ATS, these 2 teams this year. To me, I like it. I lean Indiana though a little bit. They've got a lot of size. They've been killed in the paint, Maryland, and I think that's an issue. I think that's probably the biggest issue in this game. Probably the biggest matchup advantage either team has. They've got a couple of big, tall, big players down in the paint area, this Indiana team, which is very impressive, including one from Oregon, Kellel Ware, who's been really, really solid. Maryland's interior D has not been good. Their 2-point field goal percentage defense hasn't been very good. I just feel there's some matchup advantages here for Indiana in this game, and I agree with the number going toward them a little bit. Now, again, they haven't been great, but at the same time, Maryland now going on the road, they're 0-1 this year, true road games, and you look, there's just been way too much inconsistency in their game. Yeah, they've beaten 3 in a row, but UMBC, South Alabama, Rider, nothing to write home about. Let's not forget when they played away from home, either on a road or a neutral environment. We saw them lose to Davidson as an 11.5-point favorite, lose to UAB as a 6-point favorite, and a banged-up UAB team when they played them. And then they lost by 17 against Villanova away from home. So just not very good track record for Maryland when they've played outside of College Park so far this season. So you factor that in. You factor in that I think Indiana is going to be able to feast inside. Maryland can make shots from the outside. That's going to have to be their pathway to winning this game. but I don't know if they'll be able to do that consistently. So in this game, I would look at Indiana. If the money line was a little bit cheaper, I'd probably go with the money line, but I think it's a little too pricey with where it is right now. So I'll just go with Indiana here, -2.5, -115 at Bet99.
Locked in. Bobano is locked in. He is on Indiana -2.5 at -115. And Dana Delp will be there at
Assembly Hall. It's one of the cathedrals of college basketball. Yes.
So cool. So cool. Dana Delp says, worried about Johnson. Any word about if he's in or out?
Let me just see if I can get the update on him. That is a good thing to check. Let me just see if I can find an update on his status. Let me check RotoWire. Give me a second.
Cartel says Maryland only won 2 road games last year to Louisville and Minnesota. Between these two, whoever at home, take them. Says, give me.
Not to mention, look, it's been a thing now for 1 or 2 years now in the Big Ten. And it's the home teams have dominated for some reason in this conference for the last couple of years. I don't know if there's any really rhyme or reason or trend or situation that leads to this kind of stuff happening, but there is no question about it that the Big Ten home courts have been dominant the last couple of years.
All right. So we'll see if we can
find
game
time decision for Xavier Johnson, by the way. Yeah.
Game time decision at this point. Yep. Dana Delp going to be live. Assembly Hall. All right, we move on. 7 p.m. Eastern, the George Washington Revolutionaries, 6-1, first real road game of the season at South Carolina Gamecocks. We're Colonial Life Arena in Columbia, South Carolina, and they're 3-0 here. 3-0. They're coming off a game. I mean, we're talking Thursday was the 30th. So Tuesday night at home, they beat Notre Dame 65-53. George Washington avenged their only loss against UIC by beating Delaware by 10 points, but they beat Ohio in double overtime. They took out Hofstra 71-60. Shout out to Matty Ice, who gave Hofstra -5.5 as the Taint play of the day yesterday. That was a casher. So let's take a look at the line history here, but we do have a slight rest advantage here for George Washington. Taking a look at the line history here, we have the total sitting at 149. This opened up at 148. We've gone up 1 point on the total. And then from a side perspective here, we have it sitting at 8.5. South Carolina -8.5 at -113. They opened up -9.5. So we've had a 1 point move towards the Revolutionaries. Let's take a look at the cash flow here, because I have some interest in George Washington, their ability to keep this game close, but I want to hear it set up by Bobano. There's only 2,000 tickets in, so 62% of tickets are on the over, not much there. On the side, though, George Washington is public. 68% of tickets, 65% of cash, a public road dog. Take it away for us here, Bobano, George Washington, South Carolina.
Yeah, this is one where, South Carolina has been another one of those teams where obviously adjusting a coaching change in the offseason, they've been certainly better than I thought. But when you look at South Carolina to this point, while they've won every game, not the greatest skit because DePaul's been struggled, VMI, upstate. Notre Dame is down this year, but they've been getting the job done. So I'll give them all the credit for it. George Washington, enters this game playing good, 6-1 straight up, 5-2 against the spread on the season. I think there's going to be a point at some time here soon where you're going to be able to maybe fade South Carolina a little bit. I definitely lean GW here. I think South Carolina a little overvalued here based on this start. And when you look at this George Washington team, they've been one thing about George Washington last year too. Road underdog role was quite good for them. No question about that. I think what's key here and what you want to see, and I think this is something that's very, very significant. There is a discrepancy in free throw percentage here. South Carolina is only 70%. You got an 80% free throw shooting team in George Washington. That to me is definitely something you want to pay attention to when you're looking at these kind of point spread ranges where you're asking a team like South Carolina to win by almost double digits. It's a fascinating game from a pace standpoint, because if we remember South Carolina last year when Frank Martin was coaching there, he's gone to UMass now, of course. This was a team that played ultra fast, up and down the basketball court, and good over team. But here now with Lamont Paris as the head coach, they're all of a sudden 288 in tempo this year, this South Carolina team. So they've slowed things down considerably, at the in terms of their pace, playing a lot more of a half-court style. George Washington will try to speed things up here in this game. So we got a little bit of a pace war, which makes these totals difficult for me when we're talking about these teams that, one's going to play extremely fast, and I mean really fast when it comes to G-Dub. G-Dub under Chris Caputo, 5th in the country in tempo. So it's a really tough total because South Carolina is going to slow it down. George Washington's going to want to speed it up. I think I'm going to go ahead with G-Dub. I was on the fence with this, but, I just think now we're getting to the point where South Carolina's power rating and point spread number is being inflated based on the fact that, they are undefeated, but they're undefeated against a bunch of tomato cans. And, on the surface, you're going to be impressed when you beat a Notre Dame and a DePaul. But those two teams are way down this year. DePaul's horrible. Notre Dame is nowhere near as good as they've been. And obviously, they're going through all kinds of changes. New players, Mike Bray gone, new coach there, and they've looked pretty bad, Notre Dame. So let's not go crazy about South Carolina winning that game. I think GW's got the inside-outside scoring balance to hang in this game. So George Washington for me, Jimmy, plus 9.5, minus 118 at ProLine Plus.
Plus 9.5, minus 118 for Bobano. From an X's and O's standpoint, this makes total complete sense. And me, I get caught up in the market, and it just seems, quite public. And everybody here in the chat saying G-Dub. Not one person saying South Carolina. Makes me a little nervous. I'm going to put question marks.
Big Ten basketball is going to be really fun this year, I think. I mean, I really think there's going to be some fun teams, and there's going to be some teams that, I think are ready to make noise. And we think of that conference, and you think of the usual suspects that are usually very good. But I think when you look now, George Washington, keep an eye on St. Joe's. That team is really ascending. And I was on them against Villanova earlier this week, plus the points. And sure enough, they won that game outright. I took St. Joe's against Kentucky too, and they almost beat Kentucky, took them to overtime. That's a really good A-10 team. Keep an eye on them. And I think George Washington's got the potential to be maybe better in this conference than people think.
We're going to roll on. We're going to go back to the Big East, Big 12 battle, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We have the St. John's Red Storm in action at West Virginia Mountaineers. This one pops off. Oh, it says 7 p.m. here. I had 7:30 listed. We'll figure it out. We have St. John's bounce back from that loss to Dayton. They beat Utah by 9, and then they beat up, on a cupcake. But maybe, I don't know. Do they need it? Did they need to beat Holy Cross 91-45? I don't know. Then on the other side of things here, we have West Virginia bouncing back from those two losses. Was it a bounce back? I guess, they beat Bellarmine 62-58. They beat them as 8.5-point favorites. It's not pretty. West Virginia shot 18.8% from three. God, a pretty ugly situation here. Let's take a look at the line history for this one. West Virginia, St. John's. West Virginia now 6-point dogs. That's juice, but they were 4-point dogs. So there's been a 2-point move towards the Red Storm. And then from a total side of things here, let's get down here quickly. From a total side of things, we are dealing with a 141.5 at minus 107. This opened up at 146. And the first move was to the over. This got up to 147 before it plummeted down to 141.5. Let's take a look at the cash flow then for this one. On the side, you have 77% of tickets on West Virginia and the line moving towards St. John's. 77% of tickets and just 55% of cash. Only 23% of the tickets, but 45% of the cash is on St. John's, and it's moved on this. And we have 70% of the tickets and 66% of cash on the over, and yet the floor is dropped out of it. Is this a player personnel move that changed the line and not the market? Take it away, Bobano. Red Storm Mountaineers.
Yeah, this is a West Virginia. There's problems. All kinds of problems. Line move, in my opinion. And this goes back. The betting markets have been, and including me in a lot of instances, we've been fading West Virginia quite a bit. It was to say it was an off season of turmoil would be an understatement. The Bob Huggins situation, he ends up getting forced out. Player exodus, mass transfer portal exits from this program from last year to this year. New faces everywhere, trying to integrate a new coach. The whole thing has just been, kind of a disaster here for West Virginia basketball. That being said, I mean, Rick Pitino has said multiple times here the first month of the season that his team is going to be good. Eventually, they're going to be good. And when he uses those phrases, it means he thinks there's still a lot to improve on and a lot this team has to get better at right now. And look, if this number's 2.5 where it opened right now, sign me up. I'm on St. John's because I do think they're definitely the more talented, better team right now. But now we're talking 5.5. We're talking having to win by margin at a place that still can be a difficult place, West Virginia Coliseum there in Morgantown. It can be difficult to play there. So, and let's not forget, we have seen some erratic early season performances in the first 5 games from St. John's. Drilled by Michigan at home. Yes, they blow out Holy Cross their last game, 91-45, but Holy Cross has really had a tough start to their year. They play in the neutral court environment against North Texas and Dayton. They went 0-2 against the spread in those games and barely beat North Texas by 1, and they lost to Dayton by 7. And their defense still has some issues. And clearly, I mean, the games, especially against Michigan and Dayton, stand out in that regard. So, definitely there are concerns as far as St. John's being at the place right now where, yes, they're the better team. I think definitely offensively they're a much better team. Their defense is still a work in progress. Rick Pitino has said this team is going to be better in February and March than they are now. And they are going on the road even against a way down West Virginia team. That is still can be a tough place to play. So at 2.5, I like St. John's. At 2.5, they're an official play. At 5.5, no. So it's a pass for me.
We have Lex Steele on the over in this one. What did you think about that total?
Oh, I don't want to bet St. John's under. I know that. We know what we're going to get from Rick Pitino. You're going to get full court. You're going to get the press. You're going to get a team that's got shooters, that's ability to make things happen offensively, get easy baskets off that press. That's 41st in the country in terms of tempo. No question about that. West Virginia, on the other hand, though, they're going to look to slow things down, try to get things more in the half court. That's the way Josh Eilert wants to play here now, is assuming as head coach of this team. And their defense, actually, as far as efficiency goes, it's been solid, 48, and it's actually gotten better. So, and on the road, West Virginia is not going to want to get things running up and down here against this St. John's team. So I'm torn on the total, but I know for a fact I will not have any part of a St. John's under right now. And the number does feel a little bit low for a St. John's game. It's probably a little high for a West Virginia game, but it's definitely a little low for a St. John's game at 141.5.
The floor dropped. I mean, it's just crazy. Coin saying tickets and money on the over line is dropping wild. All right, let's move on. Next up for us, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We hit another Big East Big 12 battle. Iowa State Cyclones 5-2 on the year at DePaul Blue Demons. Wintrust Arena in Chicago, Illinois. Not that they can win there. 1-3 at home. Coming off 3 straight losses, the last in Northern Illinois, 89-79. They also lost to the Dawn 70-54. And South Carolina 73-68. 3 straight losses for them here. And then Iowa State off 2 straight losses, but against tougher competition. They lose 71-62 to Virginia Tech, and then they lose by 4 to Texas A&M. So Iowa State playing Sunday against Texas A&M. DePaul playing on Saturday versus Northern Illinois. So the rest advantage is kind of a wash. Let's take a look at the line history here. We have DePaul opening up at plus 12.5 and now plus 14.5. So a 2-point move towards Iowa State. From a total side of things, this opened up at 139 and it's dropped all the way down. Well, not all the way, but dropped 2.5 points down to 136.5. So cash flow wise here, I thought I had to set up cash flow wise here for this one. We have 51% of the tickets and 68% of the cash on Iowa State. That's all very clear. Market moving towards them. And then we're not sure about the total. We just know that 75% of the tickets are on the under. We don't have a cash flow, but we've seen it drop 2.5 points. So obviously the books are respecting the tickets on the under. Take it away for us here. Cyclones, Blue Demons.
I want nothing to do with DePaul. Nothing at all. But at some point, there's going to be a dropping out, a bottoming out with where they're power rated, because it's, 14-point home dog now they are in this game. But they've been that bad. They really have. Their only victory this year is against the South Dakota Coyotes, 72-60. So it has been rough for DePaul. I think the Stubblefield era is going to be over very soon. Man, there's just been defense is bad, and they can't score. You know, the one thing about DePaul over the years, they've never played good defense, but at least they could score a little bit, and their offense has really not been as good as we've seen it in the past. Held to 68 by South Carolina, 54 by San Francisco, and a 16-point loss to the Dons. I was against DePaul last game, but it might have been the last great chance to fade this team at a reasonable number. You know, they were laying 3.5 against Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois plus 3.5. Northern Illinois wins outright 89-79 in that game. So nothing to do with DePaul. Can't do it. But can you lay 14 on the road with Iowa State's offense? I mean, Iowa State's not a gifted off. They're an excellent defensive team. They're an excellent defensive team. But if you're going to cover this kind of number, you got to put the biscuit in the basket. You got to put the ball in the hoop. And you just don't see it enough from this Iowa State team. 47.6% field goal percentage this year. Not great by any stretch of the imagination. What really does concern me, too, for them is they're only a 67.8% free throw shooting team. 263 in the country with their free throw percentage. That's not what you want out of obviously a 13.5, 14 point or 14.5 point favorite like they are. All the money's come in on Iowa State. Everyone sees what I see. No one wants any part of DePaul right now, but Iowa State doesn't have the profile of a team I trust in this price range away from home. So this is an easy pass for me.
A pass for Bobano here. We head next to Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon next up for us. And let me get this over here. Wyoming, Portland. Portland right now playing pretty decent ball to start off the season. They lost to Portland State 75-74 at Portland State. Wyoming coming off an 86-63 loss at Texas that snapped their 2-game winning streak. That's the situation right now. The Pilots are 4-1 at home to start the year off, but that's not all against Div 1 competition. Let's take a look at the total. This total sitting at 150.5 at Pinnacle. This opened at 150. It dropped down to 149. It's come back up to 150.5. And then from a spread perspective, this one is sitting at 3 right now. -3 and -109. This opened at 2.5 and has moved to 3. Let's take a look at the cash flow for this spot. We have 66% of the tickets on Portland. There's only 1,324 tickets that have been counted, but 66% of tickets and 46% of cash on the Pilots. So it looks like some bigger bets on Wyoming, but it has moved a half point towards Portland. And then 65% of tickets and 99% of the cash. Keep in mind, one big bet can skew 1,324 tickets, but 99% of cash at this point on the under. And we looked at the cash flow. So take it away for us here, Bobano. Wyoming Cowboys at Portland Pilots.
Yeah, this is an interesting spot here when you look at it. Wyoming, when you look at their results so far this year, they've actually faced a schedule where they've played decent competition so far. St. Louis, Charleston's a solid team. Furman's a very good team year in and year out. Texas, it goes without saying. They did get obliterated by Texas last game, 86-63. No question about that. The one concern, though, for Wyoming is right now, when you look at their numbers, they have definitely had their share of issues as far as offense goes. It's been rough, tough sledding for them as far as shooting. There's no question they've had their share of struggles at times. I like the coach for Portland. I really do. The guy that came over from Eastern Washington. And he's done, it's a really, really tough job for him here in this situation. Shante Legans was a great coach there at Eastern Washington. He's had to totally rebuild a downtrodden Portland team. But I think in some instances, you're starting to see some signs of that progress slowly but surely. There's still some bumps in the road for this team. They've had some ugly nights. The game against Tennessee State was not good for them, or Nevada. But right now, I think there's a reason why you see Portland favored in this game. I think they're rightful favorites in this game. I think there's a lot of issues right now with Wyoming, not the same bunch that they have been in years past. I don't want to trust a team that can't score consistently away from home either, which has been their problem. So I'm going to move forward here with the Pilots and I'm taking Portland here. I'm going to go money line. It's minus 143 at Botano. I'm going to go with Portland here.
Bobano moving on the Portland Pilots minus 143 on the money line. 3 games left. 2 are monstrous. 1 is not so much, just because of the poor play from St. Mary's to start it off. We start off with the number 1 ranked Purdue Boilermakers, 7-0 to start the year at the Northwestern Wildcats. We're in Evanston, Illinois for this one. We have Purdue coming off the smash and grab versus Texas Southern. That was on the heels of their 3-point victory over Shaka and Marquette, and a 4-point victory over Tennessee, 10-point victory over Gonzaga, a 12-point victory over Xavier. They're playing close games, and they're taking care of business. A Northwestern bounced back from that 66-57 loss to Mississippi State by smashing NIU, the Northern Illinois, 89-67, a 22-point victory there. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. Purdue Northwestern. We have Purdue right now as 5.5-point favorites. 5.5-point favorites. They opened up as 8-point favorites. We have a big move to Northwestern. I mean, a huge move. Even that 5.5 for Northwestern is juiced to minus 113. So it's going to be a 5 likely here soon. And the total sitting at 136. This opened up at 138. We've dropped 2 points to 136. And from a cash flow standpoint, 35% of the tickets are on Northwestern and 69% of the cash. Then you have 53% of the tickets and 71% of cash on the under. Those of you that got in on Northwestern early, excellent work. Take it away, Bobano. We have Welsh Ryan Arena going to be popping with the number 1 team in the country there on a Friday night. Take it away. Northwestern at home to Purdue.
It sure is, and there's a lot of people buying into the fact that Northwestern's got what it takes to not only hang in this game, but maybe have a shot to win it. As we've seen a lot of money come in here on this Northwestern team here in this game, because this opened Purdue 8 down to 5.5 here. So there's a lot of money that's come in here on the Northwestern side. Purdue, of course, not only has Purdue gotten through to this point 7-0 straight up, 5-1-1 against the spread, they've looked great. They've also tested themselves. I mean, this has been a gauntlet that they've gone through. Xavier, Gonzaga, Tennessee, Marquette, while they were out there in Hawaii for the Maui Invitational. So, they have not only gone undefeated, they've done so testing themselves, doing so in extremely incredible fashion. That being said, it is their first true road game, because Marquette and Gonzaga, those games were, away from home, but they were in the neutral environment. So we'll see how they fare here. What's been impressive to me with Purdue is we know Zach Edey's one of the best players in college football, probably the best big man right now, center in college basketball. But what's been impressive to me is the fact that their guard play has been better than I thought. And that was the key. Braden Smith has played well for this team. Lance Jones has played well. Fletcher Lawyer, the transfer, has come in and really given this team some shooting, some prowess, and some production from the perimeter. And if they can complement Zach Edey with that better guard play and that perimeter production, that really is going to take Purdue to another level. And it's going to enhance their chances, I think, in March when they're contending for the national championship. To me, there's an element of I don't want to go against this team. I just don't. But at the same time, Northwestern has gotten off to a pretty solid start. Now, they haven't played the same level of competition, but they've gotten to this point at 5-1. The one concern I would have, though, about Northwestern is Binghamton, Dayton, Western Michigan, Rhode Island. Mississippi State by far is the best team they've played, and that's the game they lost and failed to cover. They were 3.5-point dogs. They lost 66-57 to Mississippi State. So there is a huge, huge difference in strength of schedule so far to this point between these two teams. Purdue has been tested by some of the best teams in the country and passed the tests. Northwestern has faced one solid team, one decent team, good team, and they didn't pass the test. So while I get the spot, Purdue's been all over the map, traveling, Maui. Now they're playing their first true road game. It's not going to be an easy environment. I get that. And Northwestern has been solid. And I understand people taking the points. I can't take it now, +5. I'm not taking Purdue either, because this is a bit of a dicey spot for them. But Purdue is a proven commodity that's played their best basketball against the best opponents. I don't know if Northwestern's capable of that. So it's a pass for me.
No, it's well put. Those of you that got in on Northwestern at 8.5, excellent work. Excellent work. Let's move on to 9 p.m. Eastern, the big one. This is the big one tonight. Unfortunately, it's on the same time as Oregon, Washington, but we can flip back and forth. The number 4 ranked Yukon Huskies national champ, 7-0 to start the year at number 5 ranked Kansas Jayhawks, 6-1, 3-0 at home to start the year. We're at Allen Fieldhouse. This is going to be a big one. Line history wise, this opened up with Kansas -2.5. There's been a half-point move towards them to -3, and that's juiced a -112. For a total scenario, this opened up at 147.5. We've gone up 1.5 to 149. From a cash flow standpoint, 55% of the tickets are on UConn, but just 26% of the cash. So Kansas has 45% of the tickets and 74% of the cash, and there's been a half-point move towards them. On the total scenario, we watched it climb 1.5 at Pinnacle, but 52% of the tickets and 68% cash are on the under. This one is exciting. We have UConn coming in off, pretty easy games these last two. They beat Manhattan by 30, beat New Hampshire by 20. Pretty light competition here. And after that of course they had that 14-point loss to Marquette. It was surprising. They came back and beat Tennessee by 9. And they're obviously looking ahead at this matchup against UConn, as they didn't play very well against Eastern Illinois. Not a very good spot for them. 38.5-point favorites, and they win by 8. Obviously, it was a look-ahead situation. Wow. Can't wait to hear your breakdown. Bobano, take it away. Huskies, Jayhawks, Allen Fieldhouse. A lot on the line.
Yeah, I'm on 2 bets here. And we'll do my breakdown first before I reveal what I'm on here. But, you look at UConn, right? And we know this team last year did the same thing, right? Dominance in the non-conference, dominance. And then Big East play arrived, and they all of a sudden went into a little funk for a while there last year, UConn, once Big East play started. But in non-conference play, this UConn Huskies team was just absolutely ripping apart teams left and right. That being said, you look at UConn's recent performances here, and yeah, they had the Indiana-Texas neutral court wins in those 2 games earlier in the month, or last month now because it's December, but at Madison Square Garden. But they returned home. They faced Manhattan, New Hampshire. I don't think they were great in either game. Now, maybe they were just flat spots. You played Texas, Indiana. You got this big showdown against Kansas on deck. But, to me, their offense has been fine. I don't know if their defense has been nearly as good as we've seen it, especially in the early part of last year, and especially when you look at the success, obviously, that they had last year in the tournament when, they were just phenomenal, at that end of the basketball court and winning the championship. But I don't know if they're at that level yet. And let's be real, this is now your first official true road game, Fog Allen, which is always a tough place. And when you look at this Kansas team, man, you talk about facing teams and testing yourself, beating a solid Kentucky team early in the season in the Champions Classic. Playing Marquette. Now, they didn't play well in that game at all, but Marquette's a really good team. Shaka's smart, and Kolek, one of the better point guards in the country, playing for that group. Good at both ends. Great defensive pressure team as well. Kansas kind of got rattled by it, and that's the concern here. UConn's going to throw a lot of that same characteristic at Kansas that Marquette did, that pressure. But then they bounced back. They beat Tennessee after that, but they faced good competition, Kansas, here in this game. With what I've seen from UConn here, there's been some lapses in their play. Lapses that would concern me when they're playing an excellent team on the other. They're an excellent team too, UConn and Danny Hurley's bunch, but Kansas is an excellent team as well. And I think they've got the potential, especially with Dickinson there, to really, that's the key against UConn. If you've got a big that you can, now he's had some bad games too, Hunter Dickinson, don't get me wrong, but when he's on his game, he's got the potential to thwart some of that prowess in the paint that UConn has. I think there's a reason Kansas is favored here, even though UConn is undefeated here on the season. I think Kansas is the side for me in this game against undefeated UConn going into this matchup. I'm going to take them and go minus. I'm going to actually be safer here and go money line and pay up for the money line. I don't like doing that, but I'm going to do it in this instance, minus 152 with Kansas. on the money line in this game. I'm also going to go over this number here, 148.5, or actually, sorry, 147.5, minus 120 at Proline Plus. I trust those two teams offensively a little bit more than I do defensively at the moment. So there's two bets there. Kansas money line over 147.5.
You have it locked in. I want to join you on this. Wine Time already on it. Equanimus already on it. Also, Jay's final take on that over with you. Gifted Cartel also on Kansas minus 2.5. Torrey Coker on UConn first half money line. And there you go. Double up spot for Bobano on Kansas money line, as well as the over 147.5. And we have Clint McLean's birthday, star of the Die Hard
Happy
MMA
birthday,
podcast.
Clint. Wow, I didn't know that. Happy
Great
birthday.
friend of the show and the channel, and one of the stars of the channel. We love him very, very much. Happy birthday, Clint. Do it up nice, man. Get that fireball flowing. Do it up real, real nice. Happy birthday to Clint McLean. He asked for a birthday pick. I wish it was yesterday, man, because I was just ready to hammer away. But I'll see if I can follow in the great tradition of Pistol Pete Loshak. I'll see if I can. I did have that 10-game winning streak in birthday picks, and I talked about it and promptly lost. So I'll see what I can do. Here. Clint McLean in action on his birthday. All right, let's set up the final game here in college basketball before we get into NBA. And 22-11 in NBA, 6 straight winners in NBA. Feels good, man. Feels real good. Let's talk about the final spot on the board. The Boise State Broncos at St. Mary's Gales. There's Lucky Power in the house. Let's roll. Mountain America Center in Idaho Falls. So Boise State, St. Mary Gales, sort of a neutral site spot. And Boise State's lost 3 of their last 4. Lost to Butler 70-56 last out. Lost by 14. They had just beaten VCU by 4 after losses to Virginia Tech and Clemson. And then St. Mary's does not look good to start the year. Lost to Xavier by 17. Smashed Davidson. Then lost to Utah by 7. What to make of the St. Mary's Gales start? We'll hear what Bobano has to say. Let me just set up the line history here for you guys. This is our final college basketball game on the board before LJ from HTown joins us for NBA. This opened up at 4.5. It's dropped a half point to 4. So we have a half point move towards Boise State. And then we have over here the total at 129.5 at minus 106. It's opened up at 130.5. We have a 1-point move to the under. When we take a look at the cash flow then for this one, 58% of the tickets, 48% of the cash on St. Mary's. Pretty even situation. Boise's got 42 and 52. And we have no information on the total, just 1,400 tickets in. Take it away for us, Bobano. Bobano, your last game on the college basketball board, Boise State, St. Mary's.
I'm done with St. Mary's for now. Fuck that team. I mean, I'm sick of seeing them and trusting them. What a disappointment so far for us, St. Mary's. There's problems. There's no way I'm laying with St. Mary's right now. They've been very disappointing, 3-4. What's been very disappointing is we know under Randy Bennett, this team, this great defensive team, when they've played good teams, I haven't seen that defense. They've been MIA. They've disappeared. Gave up 79 points when they got blown out by San Diego State, 78 at home to Utah. Losing that game earlier this week. So all of a sudden, you've got all kinds of issues right now, St. Mary's, and then your calling card is lost right now, and that's your defensive game. You've always thrived on slowing teams down, playing staunch D, and that's lost on this team right now. And I don't know if they're good offensively right now enough to overcome those that decline defensively that we've seen out of them. To me, you shut down Aiden Mahaney, who's a terrific player. You shut down St. Mary's. Far as I'm concerned, I don't want to be that guy that, and I probably will end up on Boise, but after all this time backing St. Mary's and trusting St. Mary's and seeing them absolutely not fail to get it done over and over again in these bigger games, Xavier, San Diego State, Utah, you don't want to now jump off them, and now this is the time they step up, but I just don't know if that's possible. Now, Boise State's been erratic. They got blown out by Clemson, lose by 7 at Virginia against Virginia Tech. They did have a solid win against VCU, but blown out last game against Butler, 70-56. Not very easy to trust Boise right now either with what we've seen out of them. And this is a team that offensively is not exactly gifted as far as putting the biscuit in the basket and scoring points in bunches. But they are facing a St. Mary's team that's lost their way a little bit defensively here going into this game. So that's concerning. The money has come in a little bit on St. Mary's, up to 3.5. I just don't think there's a whole lot to like here right now with this St. Mary's team, until maybe they'll figure it out eventually, but I don't know if that's going to be right away. And keep in mind, too, for St. Mary's, first true road game of the season. This is going to be for them. Actually, it's not. This is another neutral court game, Mountain America Center. So this will be, they played 2 previous neutral court games, but 0-2 against the spread as favorites in those 2 previous neutral court games. So, yeah, I'm going to take Boise. I'm going to take Boise. I've lost my confidence right now with this group. Maybe they're going to thrive and get back on track once they're in WCC conference play January. They'll get their game back, and there's no question they could. This is supposed to be a talent team, but right now they're struggling. There's a little crisis of confidence right now. That's not what I want out of a road favorite. So Boise State for me, plus 4.5, minus 120 at Proline Plus.
Locked in for Bobano. After listening to you guys, listening to the chat, studying the market and everything, I'm going to follow 2 spots. I'm going to move with Bobano and everyone on Kansas. I'm also going to move with Justin McElvey on the Stacks play today with Xavier. Those will be the 2 bets that I will make at the end of the show. Let's review Bobano's action. He's on Charleston plus 4.5, minus 110. And of course, we have Justin McElvey on Xavier. Bobano's on the over 138.5 in that one. Houston, Xavier. Bobano's on Indiana minus 2.5. And our guy Dana Delp will be there live at Assembly Hall. So dope. Bobano's on George Washington plus 9.5. Staying off St. John's, West Virginia, and Iowa State, DePaul. He's on Portland money line. Staying off Purdue Northwestern. He's on Kansas money line and the over 147.5. And then Bobano closes up shop with Boise plus 4.5. Bobano, thank you so much for rolling with us. Next week will be fun. There's only the Army-Navy game, so all focus will be on college basketball. And that will be, extremely enjoyable here. I love these Fridays. Now, even Bobano, I love the Fridays when it's just the Ivy League and Metro Atlantic and stuff like that. I find those really enjoyable as well. So, and then, of course, NHL with Bobano. Please check out all of the big Saturday breakdown videos for the conference championship. CMAC and Bobano do such a great job, so please check them out. They're on our home page here. And you can see Bobano back with us again live with a beer in his hand on Monday evening. And Bobano, we're going to need you because that Bengals-Jaguars game looks like a snooze fest. So we're gonna need some jokes. We're gonna need some lyrics.
Another Monday night under. I think it's like 12-1 Monday night unders this year, or something close to that. So probably another one.
And it's moved from 38 to 39. I've got an SGP I'm kind of working towards, but it's going to be hard to make that fun. We're going to have to drink heavy. Bobano, my man, thank you for making time for us. Please follow Bobano on X at Bobano. Bobano, any last words for the Cappers supporting the show?
Just a great show as always. Enjoy the weekend. Excuse me. Good. It's a good thing we're wrapping up. The cough's starting to kick up again. But yeah, great to see everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. Enjoy the games this weekend. Conference championship, college football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, NFL. Get that money this weekend. And we will see you Monday, hitting the books, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Bowl preview part 1. Okay, the first half of the bowl slate will be previewed on Monday's show. So make sure you watch that. And then the following Monday, we'll have part 2 of the bowl games, the second half of the bowl slate. So bowl preview shows for hitting the books coming up the next 2 Mondays. And of course, Monday Night Football, first half, Jacksonville, Cincinnati. I will be there. Jimmy, good luck this weekend, my friend. Have a good one. Everyone in the chat, good luck this weekend. We'll see you next time.
There he is, Bobano in the house. We move on to NBA. And game's changed. The game has changed. I'm not going to be able to keep up what I'm doing right now in NBA, but there are reasons for it. I've cleaned up my act. I'm only focusing on what I was cashing on in my last few years. I spent hours going over what did I do wrong last year? What was I doing right in prior years? And I came to the conclusion of keeping everything very clean. I also came to the conclusion of using the experts on my show and in the chat. And if it correlates with my plan, fire away. And if that means I have less action, then just add to the unit size. Now, I have not added to the unit size yet. And I'm always weary of adding to a unit size when I'm running real hot. I kind of like adding to a unit size when I have a big sample size and I'm like, okay, it's been good. Let's step it up. Not when I'm just, hit 6 straight winners and I'm 22-11. But it is you guys in the chat and our experts that illuminate the spots that we need to attack. So let's get ready to attack. I think I'm not going to have a ton of action tonight. So it looks like NBA has got to come to me. Now, I'm not forcing anything. We only had 2 bets yesterday, 3 the day before. I can't believe, still angry for not having the Lakers and Nuggets on that card, but we're running nice. And it's because of the experts in the chat and on the show. So let's bring on one right now. Star of the Trill OG, play of the day. You want to run with this guy and he's money in the bank in person and on screen. You come to Pubapalooza. That's where you got to do. You come to Pubapalooza because our Trill OG play day is Houston through and through. Please welcome LJ from HTown.
Pub Sports Radio's the crew, that's a fact. We all about bread, making bank accounts fat. Who the hell is that? LJ from the H, I stack green like Boston. Shout out to Nasty Nate from down south, where we ride on slab. 420 highway smoking with that boy Dabby Cab. Swing by Dallas with them Cowboy fans so we can smoke out J Money, cause you know that's our mans. Us against the bookies, put money in our pockets. Fly out to Vegas, meet up with Ski Profit. Hit the sports books, we got money to stack. Can't forget them college picks with that boy Connor Mack.
LJ, what's good, man? Happy Friday to you. You can catch LJ here every Friday on Betting with the Bag. How are you, my man?
I'm doing great, Jimmy. Friday as usual. I am here. Thanks for letting me join you as always on your platform. And let's get our pens and papers ready, ladies and gentlemen, because class is in session. Shout out to the chat. Justin McAfee, I hope you get well, man. I heard about your shoulder, man. So prayers is up for you. Hope you get well. Actually, he's the first shout out in the remix version that will be debuting in San Antonio at Pubapalooza. So interesting note, Justin, you are in the song. Also, everybody else, man. Markel, AOD, Molly Mall, Andrew G, Nut Flush, everybody in the chat, man. Let's get some money.
LJ, you had a very strong show. You've only had 3 shows with me thus far. 13-13 is your record right now. 13-13 minus 1.21 units, down 4.65% ROI. But you had a monster show last out. You doubled up on the Suns, cash. You had the Rockets +3 in the Denver first half under 110.5. Cash there. Jokic triple-double for these on these Fridays. It hasn't been cashing, but we can go back to it. Then Lillard over 6.5 assists. What do you have, 12 in that game? Yep. You had a great day to get yourself right around the black, and we know that you are going to get there. So let's get right to work. We've been running beautifully in NBA. We need to keep the winners coming in. 7 p.m. Eastern, we start off Washington Wizards 3-15, 2-9 on the road at the Orlando Magic, 13-5, 8-2 at home. We're at the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida. This will be the last week that we talk about the full season pace. Starting next week, we'll go to the last 5 games because the teams will be at the 20-game mark. Washington this year, second fastest team by pace in the NBA, playing at 103.83 possessions a game. Orlando playing at 100.31 possessions a game. That's good for 14th in the NBA. The Wizards beat Detroit and then lost to these Magic here. They lost 2 days ago, and 139-120 victory for the Magic. So it's just, this is a new world. The Magic were double-digit favorites, and I'm so not used to it, and I didn't know how to handle it. They shot 60.7% from the field. 63% from 3. They out-rebounded Washington 44-29. I mean, it was just pure dominance. Wagner looks so athletic out there. I mean, I can't believe it. I'm like, I look at him, I'm like, did he really do that? Wagner had a season-high 31 points. Suggs had 22 points and only 3 assists, but some of those assists, he looks bigger, stronger, faster, more confident. This is a very good basketball team. And even Cole Anthony, without untied Timberlands on, has put up 25 points and went 3 of 5 from 3. I mean, this team just has real nice pieces right now. So let's talk about this spot here. We have, for injury-wise, DeLon Wright being out for a while. Banchero, a game-time decision. Isaac, game-time decision. Carter, out. Fultz, out. But Dotsie really impressed me. I didn't realize he was as good as he is. And they're still a good team, but this is a banged-up group. Without a doubt, a banged-up group. Let's go over the line history and the cash flow, and then let LJ run. So here we go. From a spread perspective here, we have Orlando again as a double-digit favorite, -11 and -103. I love fading teams after they shoot plus 60% from 3 in the field, but God damn it, it's Washington on the other side. Orlando opening up as 11-point favorites, stuck at 11-point favorites. This total here is at 237.5. It's opened at 237.5, kind of low for a Washington total. And then the cash flow here, you have 79% of tickets, 74% of cash on the Magic. This line's not moving. From a total side of things, you have 57% of tickets, 62% cash on the under. Look, I would love to challenge the Magic here. I would love to challenge their competitiveness, their intensity, when they feel so good about themselves on this big winning streak against this shit basketball team that they just crushed. I would love to, but I don't know if I can. Take it away, LJ. Wizards, Magic, Amway.
Nah, Jimmy, I wouldn't suggest it, simply because the Magic are playing very well. And interesting note, if they win this game, this will be the longest winning streak they've had in franchise history. It's a home game, Friday night. You already know how I feel about home favorites on Fridays in front of their fans, Jimmy. I just believe the Magic are going to do the same thing that they did Wednesday night versus this team. They're going to beat them, and they're going to beat them bad. But I'm not going to focus on the whole game. Everybody knows how I play my bets. I'm going to focus on the first half, simply because Orlando, 14-4 against the spread in the first half. The whole season, not games, whatever. 14-4 in 18 games played against the spread in the first half, averaging 60 points in the first half, plus 8.6 point margin in the first half. And not only that, you just mentioned 4-0 against the spread as a home favorite. So I see the same thing happening here, man. These guys are totally locked in defensively. They love their coach. I was listening to one of the press conferences, and they just love to prioritize defense because they believe their defense gives them easy baskets and it's easier for them to score. They have playmakers that could put the ball in the bucket at every position. They got guys coming off the bench, which they're number one in bench scoring at 47 points a game, averaging 55 points bench their last 5 games on this winning streak. I mean, I don't see how the Wizards are going to do anything different tonight that Orlando hasn't seen. The starters probably won't even play this whole game. They probably will let the bench just ride this out pretty much the rest of the second half and full game. But it is an 11.5 spread. I'm not going to focus on that. Let's just focus on the first half, Jimmy. -6.5 is my number that I got. And I also going to take a shot at the over. I see all the money's going to the under, but I'm going to take a shot at the over simply because Orlando, 13-0 to the over since 2019, coming off a win where they've scored 130-plus points. So they did that the last game. I believe they're going to do it again. And I got to a total. Magic are averaging 126 points the last 5 games. The Wizards are averaging 119 points the last 5 games. That puts me at a 245 total, and I believe it will hit. Now, Magic have to keep their turnovers down. because I believe that's the reason why the Wizards stayed in the last game. And they mentioned that in the press conference as well. You know, they just need to prioritize their defense, take care of the ball, make soundly plays, because the Wizards are number one in fast break points. So if they get turnovers, they can score, because that's pretty much the only way they score for the most part. Their half-court offense is just anemic. They just shoot the ball. Whoever gets the, you know, it's a lot of one-on-one possessions. So they're not really very good in the half-court. So if you limit your turnovers, don't let them get fast break transition points, you can pretty much take care of business on them. So all that said, I'm all on Magic, Jimmy, first half, and I'm on the total over 237.5.
Yeah, I get it. I wish there was pressure on them. I'd love to see them after playing so smoothly. Now this will tie the franchise record.
Okay, I'm sorry, tie. Okay.
Still, it's a big deal. Tie the franchise record
Yep.
for a 9th straight win, and then they'll have to win it at Brooklyn. And
That'd
that's
be a big game.
tomorrow night. This is the first half of a back-to-back. Is that part of the reason why you wanted the first half? Because it's the first half of back-to-back?
Because if they destroy them in the first half and they got a sustainable lead, their bench can keep that lead. Because like I just mentioned, they're number one scoring bench points off in the league. So they let their starters rest. Get ready for Brooklyn tomorrow night, because that's going to be a good game, because both of those teams are good against the spread. So that game's very, very important. So I think Orlando want to take care of business early tonight, get the Wizards out the way, and be locked in tomorrow night versus Brooklyn.
Yeah, I want to bet the Wizards so badly. So badly.
I mean,
not that I think they can win the game or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just I mean, how many people were at the game here last game on Wednesday? And it was a Wednesday night. This is a Friday night, so it's going to be different. But how many people? You know, it's almost full. It'll be full tonight.
Yep.
So it's going to be sold out to match a franchise record. They come off shooting 63% from three. I just
now the Wizards are 7-4 against the spread as a road dog, so that is a winning record. If that helps you, motivates you to take it. So I don't know. That's on you, but I just think Orlando's playing too good right now, and they've seen this team already. They're in their division. They know this team, and they know what this team can do. Unless Kyle Kuzma can have a superstar game tonight, man, I don't see them stepping in the way of the Magic's win streak right here.
God, they're going to be thinking about Saturday night in Brooklyn. They're going to I'm going to see how much action I have here, but I plan on being on the Wizards plus 11 tonight.
You know what else I forgot to mention, Jimmy? I'm going to take a prop in this bet. This game. Cole Anthony, over 4.5 assists, minus 140 is the number that I got. The Wizards are allowing the point guard to average 8.5 assists the last 8 games. So he got it last time. Yes.
What was it? Over 4.5 assists at what juice?
Minus 140.
Minus 140.
He got it the last game. He was over 4.5. He hit the 5. So I believe he's going to hit the 5 again today. May go over that because I think he'll have more minutes because he's the number one scorer off that bench. So if they have a sustainable lead, the starters are going to sit and they're going to let that bench ride it out.
Mally Mouse has imagined betting on the Wizards. Look, yesterday the Pistons plus 14.5 was my best bet of the day. I'm not scared of these shit ass basketball teams. It's not that I believe in the Wizards. It's just God, I did after a team shoots like this, like when it comes down to it, and this is not, it's a weird way of looking at it. It's like for me, the losses hurt more than the wins feel good. So that's just all I think about the losses, and we got to fix that so this is still enjoyable. So then it comes down to the point where, and I've been thinking about this quite a lot lately, and I don't think this is the first time I'm saying this out loud. I said this to my mom when I was talking about it, but I was like, what is the game that am I comfortable losing on the Wizards plus 11? Yes. I feel like after the Magic just shot 63%, that I'm not going to be hating myself and needing to go for a walk and to be angry about the choice I made. So okay,
I understand.
Yeah, but we'll see how much action I have. But I'm certainly leaning there, and then also I need to say this out loud that there is probably a bias because I just cashed a double-digit dog last night, so that's probably in my head when I see another one.
Yeah.
Okay, so I understand my issues. We'll see how things bang out. LJ's on the Magic first half -6.5, -107. He's on the over 237.5 at -108. And he's on Cole Anthony over 4.5 assists at -140. We move on to the next game on the board, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Philadelphia 76ers 12-6, 5-3 on the road at Boston Celtics 14-4, 8-0 at home. We're at TD Garden in Boston. Philadelphia paced 16th in the NBA, playing at 99.56 possessions a game. Boston 24th, 98.42 possessions a game. Let's take a look at the situation here. These teams have now faced each other a few times. That first time they faced each other, November 8th, the Celtics were short favorites. Sixers took care of business, 106-103. Then they played again a week later in Philadelphia, and the Celtics showed out, won by 10, 117-107. We have Embiid, of course, as a game time decision. Hard to think that he wouldn't want to line up. All the love Al Horford's getting right now for how he's handling defending the top centers in the league. I think Embiid's going to want to shut that up. Now, we're all respect to Al Horford. Porzingis is out for these Celtics. Embiid, game time decision. Batum, game time decision. All right, let's go into the X's and O's here. We just saw the Sixers on Wednesday night. You know, I was on the Pelicans. Pelicans took care of business from the tip-off till the end of the game. It was a no-sweat casher on the Pelicans, +3, I think we got. And then the night before that, the Celtics beat up on the Bulls 124-97. So a bit of a rest advantage for Boston at home here. Let's get into the line history for this one. We have Boston as a very short favorite. I mean, that's telling you that Embiid will be playing. This opened up at -3.5. It's moved a half point to the Celtics to -4. So we have a half point move towards the Celtics. From a total standpoint here, we are dealing with a 224.5. 224.5, and you know, neither of the first two games have hit that number when they played each other. There was 209 in game 1 and 214 in game 2. This total opened up at 224, and the first move was to the over, got up to 225, and then dropped a half point to 224.5. So we have a half point move to the over. When we go over to the cash flow for this one, you have 64% of the tickets and 46% of the cash on the over. And on the spread, it's a pretty even situation. You know, 49% of the tickets and 56% of the cash, 49 and 66 on the Sixers. And Jay's final take on under 57.5, and chosen one saying that Embiid did not participate in the shoot around. BJ saying lean 76er spread, especially without Porzingis, but ultimately no bet for him. Doesn't like fading Boston at home. Forget fading Boston at home. Our guy LJ doesn't want to be involved in Celtics basketball games. Now that is changing. That is slowly changing, and I like it. But, you know, you do what brings the cash. Take it away, LJ. A big one. TD Garden in Boston, Sixers, Celtics.
Yeah, you're right. I have changed on that betting on the Celtics simply because of Drew Holiday is now on their team. I'm a big fan of him, and simply the fact that he's on that team allows everybody on that team to switch defensively, you know, because they can pretty much guard every matchup on that, you know, the opposing team. So interesting dynamic that Boston has now. But I prefer Porzingis to be in this game for this game. But if Embiid doesn't play, then I guess that's a cancellation. They cancel each other off for the most part. But Embiid is averaging more than Porzingis, so I think that'll be a bigger factor for the Sixers than the Celtics. Because the Celtics can still put up points without Porzingis. They can still play their game and be, you know, a decent squad. But all in all, man, another home favorite at home on Friday, Jimmy. And I lean to Boston for the most part. 8-0 at home versus the East, 3-0 at home versus the division, 15-3 against the spread in the first half, averaging 62 points, averaging 9.5 point margin in the first half, which is number 1 in the NBA. But I don't know if I want to do that because the Sixers are also good in the first half, 11-5 straight up in their last 16 in the first half. So both of these teams play well early. Now, what do I want to do? Who has the advantage in this game? I broke it down, and I just believe that Embiid has to play because I know that Boston sees how they play the Sixers for the most part. And Tatum usually doesn't play very well versus this team. He's averaging under 20 points in his career versus the Sixers. So they play defense on him. But I don't know how it's going to be now because it's a different team. He has another point guard there besides Derek White. He has a shooting guard, Jaylen Brown, that could divide and play both sides of the court. So that opens up a lot for Tatum now that can do other things, the fact that Jrue Holiday is on this team. But all in all said, I'm probably going to stay off for now, Jimmy, just because I don't know for sure if Embiid's going to play.
He
I
must
hope
be
he
out.
plays.
He must be
You
out.
think so?
Yeah, my this is not now it's 6.5 right across the board.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
let me go back to this line of history. Sorry.
Okay.
Because I gave you guys all out the 4.5s, and I don't know why. Was I looking at the wrong thing? So let's go over this again here. What the hell's wrong with me? This opened up at 6 for Boston. Maybe I was looking at first half. I must have been looking at first half, you guys. I apologize. Yes, I was looking at first half. Let me get this off. That's my bad, you guys. That's really
No
bad.
worries.
No, that
No
messes
worries.
with people's heads. Sorry, I fucked that up. So this opened up at 6. It moved to 6.5, got to 7, and is back at 6.5. That's not a line. Sorry. And then when I said the 4.5, yeah, BJ, I screwed that up. So that's why I was saying that Embiid looks to be in. That changes things. And also look at the travel for Embiid. They fly to OKC, then they have to come home and play the Lakers. They smash the Lakers, and they have to fly to the Pelicans. They're coming off of a loss. So my bad. So it's a.
But he didn't play versus the Pelicans, did he? He didn't play that game.
Let me pull this up again here.
He didn't. That last game he didn't play.
So if he took that off, then he's got a.
I'm thinking
illness.
He
because it was an illness. Fuck.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I think he's going to play. This is a national televised game. This is a division game. I believe he plays. That's just me. But hey, you never know with these guys. They pick and choose what they want. But we'll see what happens. But other than that, I'm probably not going to get to a side just because we're going to talk it out for the most part. But I need him to be playing just because he makes their offense better. They're number 1 in offensive rating, but the Celtics are 4th in offensive rating. So both of these teams can score. But I would need Embiid to be in that lineup if I want to back something in this game because I would take the Celtics to cover this. I mean, the 76ers to cover this 6 if I knew for sure Embiid was in this lineup. But other than that, these two teams are too close to me. This is a divisional game. You throw all the records out for the most part because they know each other very well. It just depends on the rest advantage as well because Boston's 24-14-2 since 21 with the rest advantage. So this is a good spot for them at home. Like I said, number 1 in first half scoring. So, but if Embiid doesn't play, I'm definitely going to be off. But if Embiid plays, I'll probably just tweet out something to you if we don't get it by the end of the show and just go from there. But as far as that, I'm just going to stay off.
Yeah, Boston has the rest advantage here by a day, but then Embiid resting against the Pelicans. Okay. Andrew G said he missed shoot around 2 hours ago, not looking good. Dan Kelly says one thing that happens this time of year, a guy gets sick on a team, and a couple of days later, most everyone on the team is sick. Yeah, this is not appealing. This is not appealing at all. Too many question marks around this. Let's move on. 7:30 p.m. Eastern. New York Knicks 11-7, 5-4 on the road at the Toronto Raptors. 9-10, 6-4 at home at Scotiabank in Toronto. Knicks pace 29th in the league, 96.69 possessions a game. Toronto 98.97 possessions a game. And we all saw the Knicks that. Obviously, there's similarities between the Knicks Pistons game as there is with the Magic Wizards game. The difference, and it's a huge one, is that the Magic have the winning streak on the line. And that's a huge, huge difference. But there are similarities first half of back-to-back. The Knicks just didn't care that much, didn't play that well. The Raptors are coming off their best win of the year, arguably. I mean, that win over the Bucks was very good. But the Suns coming in on a winning streak. They beat them 112-105. And the Knicks didn't really show up last night. I don't want a team after their best win of the year. I want a team that needs to step up here, and the Knicks did not look good. This is a tricky spot. Let's get into the players. Knicks and Raptors are two healthy basketball teams right now. BJ says this line is telling you this is a clear Raptors spot. Well, I've been starting to realize that people put too much into the back-to-backs.
They can.
Yeah, and I think the market might be too. And look, everybody saw the Raptors look phenomenal. And Schroeder, now that I've got to watch Schroeder for a little while, when he's on and into the game, he's spectacular. That's not every game. I can't count on him being there every game. Toronto sitting here at -2, -107. Makes me real nervous. This total at 217, and it opened up at 217.5. It's been, gone, it's dropped and climbed. And then from a cash flow standpoint here, we have 32% of the tickets on the Raptors and 95% of the cash. Huge bets on them and huge bets on the under. 30% tickets, 82% cash. Take it away, LJ. This one I feel uncomfortable with. Kelly McKinnon says Toronto home -2. They cover. I just wish if they were coming off of a loss and hadn't looked good, I'd be all over them. But coming off a game where they look spectacular against KD and Book, take it away, LJ. Knicks, Raptors.
Yeah, and Book was hobbling in that game too. Just think if Booker was healthy, because he only had 8 points in that game. So they were dealing with.
When he took that three, I was like, "What is he doing? Why would you? Why? I don't understand why these guys do that. Like, why? All of a sudden, there's a minute left and there's no movement.
Yeah,
it's ISO from the three. Like, I just don't. It just makes no sense to me. I laughed when he took that three. I was like, "That's exactly what we want." And that was not on the 3-point line. That was 6 feet off, 8 feet off. Sorry, LJ, take it away.
No, I get you. I do the same thing, man. I do the same thing with these guys just take unnecessary, ill-advised shots for no reason. But hey, they want scoring. But yeah, like I just mentioned, Knicks and Toronto, another division game, Jimmy, another home favorite on Friday night. So, but when we match up these two teams, they're pretty much even, in my opinion. The Knicks, 5-2 on the road versus the East. Toronto's 3-2 against the spread as a whole favorite. So Knicks are 8-2-1 straight up in the first half in their last 11 games, where they play for the most part. But I like the Knicks better as a road favorite. They are a road dog. So in that situation, they're 0-1 on the road versus the division already this year. So I don't like them in this spot. They came off a tough win last night with Detroit, like you just mentioned. I was on them first half. They didn't cover it because Detroit came back and tied that game in the first half. So I lost money on that. But all that said, Toronto was good in the first quarter. 7-2-1 straight up in the first quarter at home in their last 10 games. So if you're going to take Toronto, I believe you should take them early because the Knicks can come back, play some good defense, and shut Toronto down for the most part because their scoring is very limited. But on the Knicks side, their field goal percentage is ranked 28th. So they have trouble scoring as well, especially on the perimeter. They like to score more inside with pick and roll with Randall and Brunson. So that's their 1-2 punch right there. Is Toronto going to have enough scoring tonight with Scotty Barnes, like you mentioned, Schroeder, OG, and Siakam? Are they going to want to come tonight and prove a point versus a divisional foe, like you just mentioned, coming off a good win versus a Western Conference team the last game in the Sun? So I don't know. I didn't make a bet in this game, but like I mentioned, if you want to make a bet and if you want something comfortable, Toronto first quarter may be the best play. But at the first half, the Knicks are 4-1 against the spread in the first half on the road, last 5 versus the East. So this could go either way. I didn't make a play, but like I said, I heavy lean towards Toronto first quarter, but haven't got to the window on it.
Yeah, this one is uncomfortable. I do not feel like I honestly I feel like if I had a free bet, I would take the Knicks. After the Raptors looked so good. But I don't want that's just like a free bet. I'm not gonna put my money on that. Let's move on. 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Memphis Grizzlies 4-13, 3-5 on the road at the Dallas Mavericks, 11-6, 5-2 at home with American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas, where Luka Doncic will not be playing, and Hardaway is a game time decision. So Luka and Kleber out, Hardaway a game time decision. Now, when we were capping the last Grizzlies game, the market, it made no sense why the Grizzlies would be 4.5-point favorites on this losing streak. Made no sense. And so, of course, I bet them. It was just, one of those spots where it just didn't make sense. That's all. It just didn't make sense they'd be that big of a favorite. And the line was moving towards them. It just, all of it didn't make sense. And they win 105-91 and feel good about themselves for a second. Now they go play an undermanned Dallas Mavericks team with an extra day of rest. Let's take a look at the line history for this one. This one is sitting right now with Dallas as 6.5 point favorites. They opened up as 10.5 point favorites. So we moved 4 points down. Then we'll take a look at the total for this. We have a total sitting at 227.5. This opened up at 229, dropped to 226.5. Then cash flow, we have 55% of the tickets, 53% of the cash on the Mavericks, and 68% of the tickets, 68% cash on the total. There's my guy Perky Sanderson in the house. Good to see you, Perky. Let's go. Grizzlies, Mavericks. Take it away for us here, LJ. What's your plan with Luka the Don out of the lineup?
I didn't have a plan because I thought Luka was going to be in, but now that y'all had told me he's out, that just changes everything that I wanted to do in this game. Because Dallas plays very well at home versus the Western Conference, and Memphis is very horrible versus the Western Conference. For the most part, they're last in scoring, 105, which is second last in the NBA at 105 scoring. 6-11 against the spread, 1-4 against the spread as a road dog, worse than the NBA. 4-13 record. So, but can Dallas still beat this team with Kyrie? I mean, that should be enough scoring to beat this Memphis team that doesn't have any scorers at all besides Desmond Bane. But do I want to take that chance? Probably not. I like to have the stars in the game. I like to put my money on the guys that has been doing it, that I've seen do it. And the fact that Dallas shoots from the three-point line, which is number one in the NBA, averaging 48 points from the three-point line, they may just shoot Memphis out the building. But I rather Luka be in the lineup to add to that shooting because I love taking his PRA at home because he smashes it every single time. But hey, the fact that Luka's out, Jimmy, just takes me completely off this game, so we can move on.
My issue here is that the Grizzlies won. If they had lost, I would, think, okay, let's go in there and get this victory. I think that Kyrie wants to show everybody, watch me take care of everything here. It's a Mavs or nothing spot. And unfortunately, I'd prefer to do nothing as well. I don't want to sit here and have faith in this Mavs squad without Luka. It's just a little too many points still. It's just a little too many points still. I will be off of that spot. And Troy wants Memphis. I'm not going to go back to the well. I mean, it's a difference now with Luka out. And
if this was a home for Memphis, I think it'll be much better if they were at home. They're on the road, so it's completely different.
Let's move on. Spurs, Pelicans next up for us. Spurs, Pelicans, which means we only have 2 games left. God, I can't sit here with the Wizards as my only look on the card, man.
Hey, it may be.
Oh, God, no. Please, God, no. The Spurs keep losing and losing and losing. But they've been playing in real tight games. All of their last 4 games have been tight. They're actually playing pretty good basketball. The market's also been an excellent indicator with the Spurs this year. The Pelicans snapped that 2-game losing streak with that 10-point victory over Philadelphia when Embiid was sick. Nice to have Mikey M, the star of Last Call, right here on the show. Love you, Mikey. Last Call, 6 p.m. Monday to Friday, right here on Pub Sports Radio. Let's take a look at the line history here because the Pelicans came off those 2 ugly losses, really ugly losses at Utah. And Utah's not good this year, and that was without Walker Kessler. Right now, we have a total at 237. This opened up at 235. It's up to 237. And then we have a side situation at 12.5 points. Just feels like a little too many. But we also usually get an indication from the market. So let's take a look at where the cash is here. And we have 86% of the tickets and 94% of the cash on the Pelicans. Now that is a pretty nice, message from the marketplace that, with everybody betting the Pelicans, I just wish the Spurs weren't coming off playing so well against Atlanta. We don't have a cash flow on the total, which doesn't really concern me. I'm trying to kind of stay away from those spots. Let's get back to the spread here. And on this spread at 12.5, there was one move, wasn't there? Yes, this moved to 13 at one point, and then it came back. So 12.5, 13, 12.5. Then take a quick look at the lineups here for them. Wembanyama, game time decision. And then the same deal with the Pelicans, Alvarado and Murphy, game time decisions. Take it away for us here, LJ. Do you have an angle in this one?
No, I don't. I don't give a fuck about this game. We can move on simply just because I have no interest. The Pelicans don't have a point guard. Zion scores all the points. Spurs, like you just mentioned, they played very well, hard fought last night versus the Hawks. Now they got to fly to New Orleans. It is a divisional game. So, hey, Spurs may be competitive, but nah, I'll pass. No interest at all.
And how long will they be, competitive for? Wemby played 29 minutes last night, 21 points.
Why is he a game time? Is he hurt? Like, why is he a game time decision?
Oh, Kelly says
he's out.
Oh, yes. He's been banged up for a while. We weren't sure he was going to play last night. There was a chance that he wasn't going to play last night. Let me see if I can refresh this here and see if now Wemby is out. I guess he's out. Wemby's out.
Yeah. And you got to be careful because last night, Chicago sat DeRozan and LaVine, and guess what? They beat the Bucks. So a lot of times you can just fade the injury report, take the team that's injured the most. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times that's a good cap, but I don't cap that way. I just rather stay off the game. Like we just mentioned with Luka in Memphis. Memphis could come easily, probably show Dallas something tonight, the fact that Luka isn't playing. But who wants to take that chance with our money, man? We work too hard for our money to take chances. We're trying to win. So just stay off.
So it's Chetty, Zach, Johnson, Branham, and Shohan.
Yeah.
Oh, it's pretty ugly. That is pretty ugly. All right, let's move on to the final spot on the board, and we end with a banger. This is the last game on the show today. Denver Nuggets 13-6, 4-6 on the road. Phoenix Suns 11-7, 4-4 at home at Footprint Center in Phoenix, Arizona. Both teams playing at a slow pace. Denver 26th in the league, 97.66 possessions a game, and Phoenix just behind them at 97.53 possessions a game. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We have Phoenix sitting as 2-point home dogs. They opened up as 3-point home dogs, got down to 1.5 for a little while. Oh, it's moved to 1. Sorry, this wasn't updating. This moved back to 1 5 minutes ago.
Does that mean Booker's in?
I mean, I imagine it will, but let's go to the money line here.
Okay.
Get a better idea of what's going on over at Pinnacle. Wow, so Pinnacle, so there's just been a huge move. There's a 17. In fact, there's a 19-cent move in the last 15 minutes. So, I mean, clearly Book is playing. Yes. Book and KD are in the lineup. And this is late.
They took it off too. They just took it off my book. So yeah, I believe that he's in. Yeah.
Booker is in. Booker is playing. Okay, so we're going to have to see the new line, but we imagine it's basically a pick 'em. And then the total has just moved to 226.5. Booker's in. Total just went up 1.5 points, and the line just moved towards Phoenix. Then cash flow wise here. Now, the cash flow might not give us the best idea just because we were waiting, people waiting on this information. Because right now, 51% of the tickets and 90% of the cash is on the Nuggets. Let's not worry about the cash flow because clearly people were trying to figure out this information here. So from an X's and O's standpoint, with the Suns winning streak comes to an end in Toronto. And it was a nice winning streak, comes to an end. And the Nuggets have now won 3 straight. They are, both teams are rested groups, but the Suns did have to travel from Toronto back home. Take it away for us here, LJ, the final game on the board, Nuggets Suns.
Yes, Troy, to answer your question, yes, Suns first half is what I'm going to play just because Booker has been officially ruled in. You can line shop for me, Jimmy, because I don't have it on my. Oh, no, it just popped up. Just popped up on my book right now. Suns first half. I have. Oh, they're not giving me a first half spread. They only give me full game. So if you can shop around first half, that's what I'm going to be on. Simply because the Suns 7-1 against the spread in first half at home versus the West. 9-1-2 against the spread in the first half of their last 12 games, averaging 60 points in the first half. And they're at home. So I am very confident that they're going to come out with a banger early simply because this team knocked them off in the playoffs last year, completely smoked them off the court in the last game. I know the Suns remember that very vividly. They probably had this game circled on their calendar when the schedule came out. So the fact that Booker is going to go tonight gives me a lot of confidence that the Suns are going to try to come out and win this game. Denver, not too good on the road. 2-8 against the spread on the road. 1-8 against the spread as a road favorite. 3-4 on the road versus the West. So they have a losing record on the road coming into Suns who just came off a loss that is going to be prime picking to get revenge on this team that knocked them out in the playoffs. So all that said, I'm also going to be on Booker's PRA. Let me see if they have it up. They probably don't have it up. I'm going to have to tweet it out because they don't have their props up yet. But I definitely would be on Booker's PRA. Booker just got ruled out.
Smooth dude said Booker just got ruled out.
Come on, man.
I don't know why they would do that move. It's being pulled off the board.
Oh, okay. Well, all that's it, man. I'm still gonna be on the first half.
I don't know why they would be that move.
I don't know either. They're messing with us, man, for real. But
so let's just hold off.
Okay.
Hold off.
We're gonna have to, huh?
Bookmaker just pulled it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the Kelly, the line moved like he was in, right? It moved 20 cents towards them. There's TransCanada in the house. Yeah, that's true, Drip. That's true, Drip. That happened. Booker ruled out for underdog.
Okay. Well, hey, it's all good. We could go to KD because I'll take KD points. 30.5. I know that is it. I don't know what the number you can find, but I'll tweet it out if you want me to put a number on once the props come out. But I will be on KD's points, and I'm still going to be on the first half. Whenever the line comes out, I'll put it out as well because I just believe the Suns are going to be ready to play this game, Booker or not. They've been wanting to get this team again. I really, really believe it. And the fact that they've been playing well as of late, especially in the first half, gives me confidence they're going to continue that streak. Now, I'm also going to be on Jokic's over PRA 53.5. I know they have that up. I have it at -110. Simply because that's what he does. He gets the points, he gets the rebounds, he gets the assists. You might as well just take this bet every single game. And if he's at home versus the Western Conference, take the triple-double because we just cashed on it the last game versus the Rockets. He's always hovering around nine assists, but he gets that 10 ever so often, especially at home. So we're going to take Jokic's PRA tonight over 53.5 -110. And just a side note, always look for the triple-double at home. But all that said, we got to wait for the numbers to come out for us, the spreads and the lines. But I'm definitely going to be on first half Suns. I'm definitely going to be on Durant's points. And I'm on Jokic's PRA.
Phoenix +4 now. I've got a plan for this. So I'll wait till you tweet this out. But right now, official, you have Jokic over 53.5 PRA. And we'll wait to see what you tweet out. My plan will be this. I'm going to wait for this line to keep climbing on the Nuggets. And I'm going to move on the Suns. I'm going to wait for everybody to overreact on Booker. Overreact. No Booker, no Beal. I get your look on KD, but I'm going to wait for the overreaction. Then I'm going to decide whether I want the Suns just first half because, KD will wear down. So I've got to decide this, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and wait and wait. And then I'm going to move on the Suns. I think that something important here about the Nuggets is that they don't care. Everybody's trying to make them care about certain things. They're the champs.
And they're
very good. Say what?
I say they're injured too because Aaron Gordon is hobbling and Jamal Murray. You know, he
Tomorrow
tried to
night,
come
too.
back versus the Rockets, but he twisted and tweaked his ankle again. So who's to say how healthy they are as well?
And they just don't care that much. You know, it's not, you know, the Suns despise the Nuggets. It's not like the Nuggets couldn't care less about
Yeah, I agree.
BJ says Suns are not good enough to compete with a healthy Nuggets team without Booker KD. I feel you, but we don't think this is a healthy Nuggets team. Now we'll see who is in and who's out. But so that's my plan. I'm gonna wait, and I'm gonna move on the Suns. I just have to decide first half full game, and then LJ is going to tweet out his action at some point. He is on Jokic over 53.3 assists locked in, and we'll see what else he wants to do. What a tricky NBA card, as always. Let's review action here. LJ's on the Magic first half -6.5, the over 237.5, and Cole Anthony over 44.5 assists. I'm on the Wizards +11. I haven't bet that yet, but I will. Sixers, Celtics, we stayed off. Knicks, Raptors, Grizzlies, Mavs, Spurs, New Orleans. I mean, all these injury issues. Look, this is not about, you know, putting out picks for fun, that we're going to bet these and we have to win these. So that's fine. And then I'm going to be on the Suns late, going to wait. Jokic over 53.3 assists, and he's going to be on the Suns in some form here. Looking like a first half, but we're going to see what the line is.
Yes, sir.
There it is. What a God, LJ. The NBA can be so tricky at times, but we can take advantage and we will win. LJ, great to roll with you, man. Tell us a little bit about the podcast that you have popping off, because I know you do it for NFL as well. Let everybody know about it.
Yeah, Raw Words Podcast on YouTube right now. You could just type in Raw Words Podcast, or you could type in LJ from Houston. Both of it comes up. Me and Dave just did a show Wednesday night. We did our Week 13 NFL picks, so
nice.
Streaming right now. Also, on Sundays, I give out my best prop bets for the NFL on that week. You know, I break down all the games, break down these players, see where they have the advantages with these teams on Sunday. So every NFL Sunday around maybe early morning, 7 or 8 o'clock, early morning, I put out my prop show. And then I join Wham on Who Vegas Sports. So we have a show also every Sunday morning talking about the early slate of the NFL. So yeah, got a lot of stuff going on. Go to the channel, like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter or X, as y'all call it now, LJ Sports Media. I will be with Jimmy on live every Monday night doing the Monday night NFL games as well. And thanks again, Jimmy. Like I said, I enjoy every Fridays being with you. This was always a dream of mine before we met. I used to watch you every single day, and I always vision myself being in this square next to you talking this NBA. So it finally came true. I love every moment of it. So let's continue to keep cashing, and I will see you again on this show next week.
I love it. There he is, LJ from HTown. If you want to hang with us, come down to San Antonio for Pub-A-Palooza, baby. God, I can't wait. That's my favorite weekend of the year, and I can't wait for that. All right, let's review all action here on the show. We had some action here. Subhuman Gaucho gave us the Subhuman soccer play of the day. I'll pop this in the chat for you guys. I'm not sure if that's popped off yet. So let's hit this right here, and that's for you. That's Subhuman Gaucho, soccer play of the day. Kong's Clips best bets are he's on the Nuggets -2.5. It's good that he got in on that number. And Orlando Magic first half -6.5. Then Clint wanted a birthday pick. Clint, star of the Die Hard MMA podcast, he gave us Figueroa. Not only that, but so did our guy Billy Friedrich give us Figueroa, and he's by sub at +550. And Gifted Cartel gave us South Dakota -5. In NHL, Bobano's on the over 6.5 in Sharks Devils, and he's on the Jackets +141, the over 6.5 -125, and the draw at +380. I'm interested to see if this is still a +140 here. It is still a +140. Wow. I'm very interested in the Blue Jackets, but I don't have enough. I don't have much cash here on this one. In the Conference USA Championship, we have Boss, Ragu, and Bobano on New Mexico State. It's a little I'm a little nervous not hearing anybody on Liberty. Then Bobano is on Oregon -8.5 and Odunze anytime touchdown. We already heard from Big Boss. He's on the first half over 33, and Troy's on the Oregon Ducks first half. I'm very interested in joining him on that Oregon Ducks first half. I think I may be adding that to my card. In college basketball, Bobano's on Charleston plus 4.5. The stacks play today is Xavier, and I'm rolling with him. I'm going to join him on Xavier. Bobano's on the over 138.5 in Houston, Xavier. He's on Indiana minus 2.5. George Washington plus 9.5. Then he's on Portland minus 143. And he's on Kansas money line, the over 147.5 minus 120. Sammy Comer says Randall is now questionable. I am going to move on Kansas minus 2.5 as well. Kelly Vincenzo is on hoops under 138 in the Houston game, on the under 138. And gold 44 money line with the Sharks. Wow, that's wild. And then Bobano closes his card with Boise plus 4.5. In NBA, I'm on the Wizards plus 11, and I'm going to wait and bet the Suns. LJ's on the Magic first half, and I think it is probably first half. I do. I think that the Nuggets have that ability to wear down their opponent. So the more I sit and think about it, the more I think that it will be first half, but I'm going to sit with it for longer. LJ's on the Magic first half minus 6.5, the over 237.5. Cole Anthony over 4.5 assists. And then he closes shop with Jokic over 53.5 points, 3 on assists, and he's going to be adding something. Bo Jackson here on the Raps money line. And Dan Kelly says Monday and Tuesday are just the in-season tournament quarterfinals. So most of the league has a big break. Wow. There you go. That is our show for today, coming off a nice winning day yesterday and lost 3 games in overtime in NHL. I don't remember that happening, but, that'll balance out. It'll balance itself out. Bo says, look at the Raps record on Friday this season. If you know, you know. Yeah, no, I feel that. I just, after their best win of the year is not when I want to back anybody. And I'm keeping everything real clean in NBA. So I've got my situation settled. That's our show for today. Thank you all for watching. Kelly Vincenzo, Equanimus, Bo Jackson, Bet This Guy, Trance, Canada, Sammy Comer, Gold 44, DC Capper, North Ender, Dan Kelly, Tori Coker, the Chillest, Perky Sanderson, the Chosen One, Kelly McInnes. Thank you, man. Thank you all you guys for your support. BJ, thank you guys. Let's go out there and get that cash. Troy Torrance, DC Capper, Johnny K. Let's go out there and eat. Rants, Billy Friedrich. Let's have a big day. Let's continue with what we're doing. We've been on a nice run now for a little while, but we need more. We need more badly. And I love the opportunity to rock with you guys. Thank you to Jose Bouquet, the producer of this show, who works tirelessly behind the scenes. It's the weekend now, baby. It's the weekend now. Conference championship action tomorrow and a giant Saturday. Then we have football all day Sunday. Don't forget NFL Pub Hub. By the way, on NFL Pub Hub, we have our top performers all rolling with us. And we have a battle up top. We have a battle right now in first overall NFL Pub Hub. Big Ragu, 31-22 plus 8.6 units. He'll be on the show. In second, Spenny Penny Bombs, 38-35 plus 7 units. In Spenny's last 4 shows, he is up 16 units. Jesus, he's rolling. Sean Higgs is in third, 13-6 plus 6.17 units. He'll be on the show. Then we have Marley in fourth, plus 4.9 units. Flash, plus 3.37 units. Ramon Scott, 6th, plus 1.92 units. Birdie, 7th, plus 1.51 units. Razor, 8th, plus 0.8 units. Brizzy, 9th, plus 0.45 units. Dutch, 10th, plus 0.1 units. And it's interesting. So, and this is, sort of par for the course for that show. The 25 cappers have been on NFL Pub Hub. 10 are in the black. 10 of the 25. A wine time. Thank you, Sharon Pulliam. Let's get those kids healthy and feeling better again. We'll be thinking about you, man. Tori Coker, my man. Let's get that cash. Thank you all. Now let's go out there and win. Just fucking win, baby. Just win. Get that cash. Let's